Hello and welcome to Dreamstate Discoveries. As you settle in tonight, let your breathing find a slow and steady rhythm. Let your body feel heavy and supported, releasing the tensions of the day into the space around you. There is nothing you need to plan, nothing you need to remember. Just allow yourself to be here in this moment of quiet. Tonight, we begin a long, gentle journey to a place of serene stillness, a world of soft silver light and profound silence. We will be exploring the most relaxing facts about the moon, our planet's constant companion in the night sky. This will be a slow exploration, a drifting through ideas and images designed not to excite, but to soothe. Each fact is like a smooth, cool stone from a lunar sea, held in the mind for a moment before we let it go, allowing it to sink back into the gentle dark. So let your eyes close softly. Feel the comfort of your resting place, and allow your mind to gently wander upwards through the imagined ceiling, through the quiet atmosphere, out into the deep velvety black where a soft, familiar light is waiting. Let us begin not with the moon itself, but with the feeling of looking up at it. Perhaps you have done this on a clear, cool evening. Standing outside or gazing from a window, you look up and there it hangs, a perfect serene disk or a delicate crescent resting in the vast expanse. That simple act of looking upwards, of tilting your head back to see the moon, is itself a gesture of release. It is a physical letting go, a softening of the gaze that often comes with a deep, unconscious sigh. The moon does not demand your attention. It does not flicker or flash. It simply is. And in its constant, quiet presence, it invites you to simply be as well. To be still, to be quiet, to exist without effort, just as it does. When you look at the moon, you are connecting with an object that has been observed by every generation of humans and by countless generations of life before us. Dinosaurs lifted their heads to see it. The first small furry mammals scurried under its light. Ancient hominids wondered at its changing face, and now you are part of that unbroken chain of observation, a link in a timeline that stretches back into deep, deep time. There is a profound comfort in that continuity. Your moment of wonder, your quiet sigh, is echoed by billions of similar moments across the ages, all of us under the same moon. And what is this object that draws our gaze so consistently? It is a world of profound and beautiful simplicity, a sphere of rock and dust lacking the vibrant, noisy complexity of our own planet. It has no rustling forests, no crashing waves, no whispering winds. It is a place where the very concept of weather does not exist. There is no rain to fall, no clouds to drift, no storms to gather and break. The sky above the lunar surface is a permanent, absolute black, even in the middle of its day. A sun hangs in that blackness, a stark, brilliant disk without a haze of blue to soften its edges. But there is no diffusion of that light, no scattering to create a daytime sky. The transition from light to shadow is razor sharp, a line of utter division between blinding brightness and pitch darkness. This absence of atmosphere means the moon is a world of extreme stillness. The flag placed there by astronauts does not wave. It hangs, limp and quiet, in a permanent, motionless tableau. Dust, when kicked up by a boot or a rover's wheel, does not billow and float. It follows a perfect, silent, parabolic arc, falling back to the surface in an orderly manner, because there is no air to swirl it about. It is a place where every action has a direct, predictable, and quiet consequence. A world governed by pure physics, playing out in slow motion under a silent sun and a star-speckled black sky. This simplicity is not barren, it is peaceful. It is a reduction of existence to its most basic, graceful elements: light, shadow, stone, and dust. Consider the dust itself. They call it regolith, a soft scientific word for the layer of fine powder that blankets the moon. This is not like dust on Earth, which is a mix of skin cells, fabric fibers, and pollen stirred by breezes. Lunar regolith is the product of patience, an almost unimaginable patience. For billions of years, the lunar surface has been bombarded by micrometeorites, tiny specks of cosmic dust traveling at tremendous speeds. Each impact, smaller than a grain of sand, chips and fractures and powders the rock beneath. It is a process of gradual, gentle pulverization. A mountain over eons is quietly, persistently turned into a plain of soft powder. Think of the slowness of that transformation. Each microscopic impact is an event separated from the next by perhaps minutes or hours or days. There is no rush. The universe has all the time in the world to grind these rocks down. The result is a surface that is incredibly fine, almost like talc, but sharp under a microscope, the grains never having been weathered smooth by water or wind. Yet to an astronaut's boot, it would feel soft. It would compress underfoot, holding the shape of a footprint with perfect fidelity. And because there is no wind, that footprint, that single impression, could last for millions of years, a gentle signature in the dust, preserved in a timeless quiet. It is a record not of violence, but of gradual, relentless, gentle change, a testament to the power of small, repeated actions over spans of time so vast they lull the mind into a state of calm. The moon is covered in this soft, gray blanket, a blanket woven by time itself, waiting in perfect stillness for the next gentle touch, be it a meteorite or a human footfall, an event that may not come for another million years. Let us settle once more into this quiet space, allowing the gentle rhythm of the words to carry you deeper into relaxation. As we continue our journey to that serene, silver world, let the feeling of soft lunar dust beneath imagined boots be a soothing thought. Let it remind you of the profound stillness that exists, a stillness you can borrow for yourself in these moments. There is nothing to do but listen and drift and rest. From that soft dust, let your mind drift upwards to consider the moon's gentle grip on our world. This is the pull of gravity, a force that feels like the very opposite of force. It is an embrace, a constant, invisible tether. The moon's gravity is weaker than Earth's, only about 1/6 as strong. On its surface, you would weigh only a fraction of what you do here. There is a lightness to that thought. An astronaut does not so much walk as lope in a slow, graceful bounding motion, each step a gentle push against a world that holds them only softly. They can leap with ease, floating upwards in a slow, controlled arc before descending just as gently back to the powder-fine regolith. Imagine that feeling, not of weightlessness, but of being lightly held, as if the world itself is cradling you with the faintest of touches, allowing you to move with a dreamlike buoyancy. It is a quality of movement that seems peaceful, unhurried, almost balletic. There is no struggle against a heavy body, only a fluid, slow-motion dance across a landscape of quiet grays. And as you picture that gentle bounding, that soft landing in the dust, you can feel your own body here on Earth feeling just a little heavier, a little more settled into your bed, as if appreciating the stronger, more comforting embrace of our own planet's gravity, holding you securely, safely down. This gentle lunar pull extends its influence all the way to our blue world, where it performs its most famous and soothing work, the tides. This is not a yanking or a jerking of the oceans. It is a slow, stately, rhythmic lifting. Imagine the entire Pacific Ocean, a basin of water thousands of miles wide and miles deep. And now imagine a soft, insistent pressure beneath it, a lifting from below caused by the moon's gravitational field. The water does not rush. It cannot rush. It is too vast, too massive. Instead, it swells. It rises with a majestic, imperceptible slowness. Along a coastline, this swelling manifests as the tide creeping in. It is not a wave, it is an advance of the sea itself. It slides over rocks that were dry just hours before. It surrounds pools, fills inlets, climbs up the sand, grain by grain. It does this in near silence, with only the softest lap and sigh against the shore. It is the planet breathing, a deep diaphragmatic breath that takes about 6 hours to inhale and 6 hours to exhale. High tide is the peak of the inhalation, a moment of full, rounded stillness before the long, slow exhale begins. This rhythm is so reliable, so constant, that we can predict the tides for centuries into the future. It is a heartbeat far slower than our own, a primordial pulse that has continued without fail for over 4 billion years. As you lie here, you can imagine your breath sinking to this grander rhythm, a slow, deep inhale, hold, and a long, releasing exhale. Let the moon's patient pull on the waters of the world guide your own body into a tide of rest, where each exhale feels like a gentle retreat of worry, leaving your mind smooth and calm, like sand after the water has receded. But the moon's relationship to Earth is not one-sided. We too exert a force upon our companion, a much stronger force, and this mutual embrace has led to a beautiful, slow synchronization. The moon is what we call tidally locked to Earth. This means that the same face of the moon is always pointing toward us. It takes the moon just as long to rotate once on its axis as it does to complete one orbit around our planet. From our perspective, we never see the other side, the so-called far side. It is a permanent hidden hemisphere, a mystery kept gently out of view. Think of the patience in that motion, a single rotation that takes an entire month. A day on the moon, from one sunrise to the next, lasts approximately 29.5-hour Earth days. This is a timescale almost impossible for us to feel. 2 weeks of continuous, unfiltered sunlight, where the sun tracks slowly, slowly across the black sky, heating the gray dust to temperatures beyond boiling. Then 2 weeks of continuous, profound night, where the temperature plummets to hundreds of degrees below zero, and the only light comes from the glorious, brilliant disk of the earth hanging motionless in the sky. There is no dawn that comes quickly, no rapid sunset. The transition from day to night is a slow crawl of shadow across the craters and plains, taking hours to complete. It is a world of extreme patience, where light and dark are not daily occurrences, but long, lingering states of being. A creature of haste could not survive there, but for the moon itself, this slow dance is perfect. It is a graceful, measured waltz with its partner, Earth, a dance of such gradual steps that it appears to our short lives to be completely still. We only ever see one serene face, forever turned toward us in quiet companionship.
And what of that hidden face, the far side? It is often mistakenly called the dark side, but it receives just as much sunlight as the side we see. It is simply the side that forever turns away from our gaze. It is a place of deeper mystery, and in its secrecy there is a special kind of quiet. Shielded from the radio chatter and light pollution of Earth, it is the most silent place, in terms of human-made noise, in the entire solar system. If you stood on the far side, Earth would never be in your sky. Your sky would be an unbroken, profound black, filled with stars that do not twinkle, but burn with steady, needle-point brilliance. The sun would rise and set in month-long cycles, but you would be utterly alone, with the bulk of the moon itself between you and the home of humanity. It is a place of ultimate solitude, a place where you could hear, if sound could travel, only the deep hum of the universe itself. For now, let that far side be a metaphor in your mind for a place of perfect mental retreat, a hidden chamber of the mind that is always at peace, always quiet, forever turned away from the noise and demands of the world. You can imagine sending your worries there, to that silent, distant landscape where they can rest in the cool dark, far from your immediate thoughts. It is a place that exists, both in reality and in your imagination, a sanctuary of stillness.
As we continue to explore the serene facts of our lunar companion, allow each idea to deepen your sense of calm, like a stone creating slow, expanding ripples in a still, dark pond. Let the previous thoughts of gentle gravity, of slow tides, of a hidden hemisphere softly blur at the edges, becoming part of the peaceful background. Now we turn to the light itself, the soft silver light that transforms our nights. The light of the moon is a borrowed light. It is a second-hand glow, a reflection of the sun's fierce energy, softened and diffused by the moon's own rocky surface. This light does not sparkle or blaze, it luminesces. It has a cool, silvery quality, a light that seems to wash color from the world, leaving behind landscapes of monochrome beauty, shades of gray, black, and brilliant white. When this light falls on a forest, it turns leaves into shimmering silver coins. When it falls on water, it paints a path of liquid mercury, a glimmering road leading to the horizon. When it falls on your windowsill, it creates sharp geometric shadows that slowly, slowly creep across the floor as the night progresses. This light is gentle on the eyes. You can gaze directly at the full moon without pain, taking in its detailed tapestry of Maria and highlands. It illuminates, but does not assault. It reveals just enough for the world to feel familiar, yet dreamlike, a half-remembered version of the day. And this gentle illumination has guided life for eons. Nocturnal creatures are adapted to see in this soft photonic shower. Their world comes alive under this cool radiance, a world of hushed movement and subtle contrast. For them, it is not a dim light, but a perfectly sufficient one. As you rest here, you can imagine this moonlight filtering into your room, not as a beam, but as a gentle presence, a cool wash that soothes the fevered thoughts of the day, turning them calm and clear, like pebbles seen in the bottom of a still, moonlit stream. This journey of light from sun to moon to eye is a swift one, but in contemplating it, we find a rhythm that slows the heart. Light travels at a speed that is, to our human experience, instantaneous, yet over the cosmic distance, it takes a measurable, ponderable time. The sunlight that strikes the moon's surface is already 8 minutes old when it arrives, having journeyed from the sun's roiling surface. It then bounces in that instant off the regolith, and then it begins its final journey to Earth. This trip takes about 1.28 seconds on average, so the moonlight you see is a little over a second old. It is a tiny delay, a barely perceptible lag between event and perception. But in that lag, there is a pause, a moment for reflection, in every sense of the word. It means that even the moon you are looking at is not the moon of now, but the moon of a second ago. It is a gentle reminder that even our most immediate connections to the cosmos are mediated by the gentle, unbreakable speed limit of the universe. There is no rushing this light. It comes at its own perfect pace. And you can imagine that tiny journey now, a photon, a particle of light leaping from the lunar soil, sailing through the absolute void, unimpeded and silent, until it finally crosses the last barrier of your atmosphere, perhaps twinkling slightly as it passes through the shifting air, and lands softly on your retina, a messenger from a silent world, delivering its peaceful report. Each second, billions of these messengers arrive, creating the image you see. It is a quiet, constant rain of information, a soothing data stream of silvery light. This light reveals the moon's face, and that face tells a story of ancient calm. The dark patches, the Maria, are plains of basalt, the frozen remnants of ancient lava flows. But these were not violent, exploding volcanic eruptions like those we might fear on Earth. These were more like slow, massive seepages. Imagine, 3 to 4 billion years ago, the moon's interior still held some warmth. An asteroid impact, a giant crater formed, cracking the lunar crust deep down, and then from those deep fractures, magma, molten rock began to well up. It did not explode skyward, it oozed, it flooded. Like thick, dark syrup spreading on a tabletop, it filled the giant impact basins one after another. It spread for hundreds of miles, a tide of liquid rock, smoothing over jagged terrain, filling in low spots, creating these vast flat plains. And then, over millions of years, it cooled, it solidified from the outside in, forming a hard, dark skin on the lunar surface. The process was unimaginably slow and utterly quiet. There were no roaring flows, no collapsing calderas, just a gradual geologic sigh, a release of inner heat that resulted in these seas of stillness. When you look at the sea of tranquility, the sea of serenity, the ocean of storms, beautiful, peaceful names for these expanses. You are looking at the result of that ancient, patient outpouring, a turmoil that resolved into perfect, eternal peace. The violence of the impact that created the basin was so far in the past, it is forgotten. All that remains is the smooth, solidified result, a testament to the universe's ability to find calm after a stir. The moon took its wounds and filled them with quiet, dark rock, creating landscapes meant for contemplation. And scattered across these dark seas and brighter highlands are the craters. These are the moon's most distinctive features, and they are often thought of as scars, signs of violent impacts. But from our perspective of deep time and deep relaxation, they transform into something else. They are records of moments. Each crater is a fossilized event, a pebble, a rock, a small world traveling in space for perhaps millions of years, finally meeting the moon in a sudden union. The energy released was tremendous, melting rock, spraying debris in elegant rays across the surface. But that event, that flash of heat and fury, lasted only seconds. And then, for the billions of years since, the crater has simply rested. It has held that moment in perfect stillness. The rays of ejected material have lain exactly where they fell, untouched. The central peak, if it formed, has stood unmoved. The crater floor has collected a fine layer of dust, a little deeper than the surroundings, a softer bed. Craters are not wounds, they are impressions, like a footprint in the regolith, but on a colossal scale. They are the moon's memory, and its memory is perfect, because nothing ever erases it. There is no wind to smooth the rim, no water to fill the basin. The only new changes come from subsequent, smaller impacts, which themselves become part of the record, a gentle layering of history upon history. To look at the cratered face of the moon is to see a timeline of peaceful events, each one a period of silence following a brief punctuation mark. It is a landscape that teaches acceptance. Everything that has happened to it is written clearly on its face, and it wears that history with a serene, unblinking dignity. It has accepted every impact, every strike, and incorporated it into its being, becoming more complex, more textured, more beautiful with each one. It is a lesson in tranquility, written in circles across the sky.
As we sink deeper into our exploration of the moon's tranquil nature, let the previous images of soft light, ancient lava seas, and silent craters settle in your mind like layers of fine dust, each one adding to a sense of profound peace. Let your breathing find the rhythm of those long lunar days, slow and steady, with no need to hurry toward the next thought. Simply be here, in the gentle flow of words, as we turn our attention to the moon's silent influence, a presence felt rather than heard. There is a concept known as lunar libration, a gentle rocking motion that the moon makes as it orbits our planet. It is not a violent shaking, but a slow, almost imperceptible sway. Because the moon's orbit is not a perfect circle, and its rotation is so perfectly synchronized, we're afforded a subtle peak around its edges. Over time, from our perspective on Earth, the moon seems to nod ever so slightly, as if in a slow, agreeable conversation. We can see, over the course of its cycle, about 59% of its total surface, not just the locked 50%. This means that features near the limb, the edge of the lunar disk, will slide in and out of view with a graceful, patient rhythm. A crater might emerge from the hidden side, becoming visible for a few nights before slowly retreating back into the periphery. It is as if the moon is slowly revealing secrets, not all at once, but in fragments over millennia. There is no urgency to this revelation. It is a dance of slow disclosure, a gentle rocking that speaks of orbital harmonies and gravitational balances. This libration is a reminder that even in a state of locked synchrony, there is softness. There is a slight give, a gentle wobble that makes the relationship more fluid, more organic. Nothing in nature, even the most precise clockwork, is absolutely rigid. There is always a little sway, a little breath, a little room to move within the structure. And as you think of that slow, nodding rock of the moon in its orbit, you might feel a permission within yourself for a gentle sway, a slight release of tension, a soft rocking of your own mind into a state of deeper ease. This constant companion also acts as a shield, a quiet guardian. The moon's surface, pockmarked with those billions of craters, bears testimony to a role it has played for eons, that of a cosmic buffer. Many of the asteroids and meteoroids that have crossed Earth's path have instead found a home on the lunar surface. Without an atmosphere to burn them up, they strike directly, creating the records we see. In a very real physical sense, the moon has taken hits for us. It has intercepted countless pieces of space debris over the ages, its gravity drawing them in, its surface accepting their impact, so that Earth's surface and the fragile life upon it might remain a little more sheltered. It is a passive protection, not an active deflection. It simply exists in the way, a silent shield in the sky. Each crater is therefore not just a record of an event, but a mark of protection, a sign that something struck there and not here. This thought can bring a deep cosmic comfort. We are not alone in our journey through a sometimes chaotic solar system. We have a companion that simply by being in its rightful place absorbs some of the chaos, translates violence into quiet circles of dust, and maintains its watch. It is a steadfast guardian, its scarred face a testament to its quiet, enduring service. And what of the moon's own birth? The prevailing story is one of colossal impact, a time when a young, still molten Earth was struck by a Mars-sized body named Theia. The energy was unimaginable, vaporizing rock, spinning debris into a furious, glowing ring around our planet. But from that apocalyptic violence, something serene was born. Over perhaps just a few hundred years, an eye blink in cosmic time, that ring of debris began to coalesce. Particle gravitated toward particle. Small clumps became larger ones in a gentle, accelerating dance of accretion. What was once a chaotic, searing disk became, with stunning speed, a single cooling sphere. The violence was the preface. The story itself is one of coming together, of fragments finding unity, of chaos resolving into a singular, peaceful body. The moon was born from Earth's own substance, making it not just a companion, but a sibling, a piece of our own world cast off in a moment of dramatic change that then found its own identity, its own calm, its own orbit. This origin story is not one of alienation, but of deep connection. The atoms in the lunar rocks are siblings to the atoms in the soil of your garden. We are made of the same stuff, shaped by the same ancient event. When you look at the moon, you are looking at a part of your own home, set apart to shine a gentle light upon the rest. It is a beautiful cycle, a moment of intense energy giving way to 4.5 billion years of profound peace.
a reminder that even the most disruptive beginnings can settle into a rhythm of exquisite, lasting tranquility. This sibling world also holds a profound record of time. Because its surface is so still, largely unchanged for billions of years, it acts as a museum for the history of our entire solar system. The dust on its surface, the regolith, contains within it particles from the sun, from distant stars, and from the very beginnings of the planetary system. It is a slow accumulating library where the books are layers of dust and the stories are written in isotopes and elemental ratios. Scientists study lunar rocks not just to understand the moon, but to understand the conditions of the early Earth, which has lost its own ancient rocks to the relentless churn of erosion and plate tectonics. The moon, in its quiet, remembers for us. It holds memories that our active, lively world has long since forgotten. It is the keeper of our shared childhood. There is something deeply soothing about this role. The moon is the silent archivist, the patient historian. It does not announce its findings. It simply waits, preserving the records in cold, dark vaults of regolith until a quiet visitor, a robotic lander, a human explorer, comes to gently collect a sample and listen to the story. It is a world that embodies the virtue of patience, of holding knowledge without needing to speak it, offering it only when asked, in whispers of captured solar wind and fragments of ancient asteroids. It knows the answers to questions we are only beginning to formulate, and it waits, peacefully, for us to learn how to ask.
As we continue this slow drift through lunar serenity, let the ideas of gentle guardianship and silent history blend into a soothing background hum, a quiet knowledge that there is a steady, patient presence in the heavens. Now let us turn our thoughts to the subtle, almost imperceptible ways the moon weaves itself into the fabric of our world, and indeed into the very rhythm of life itself. There is a phenomenon known as earthshine. It is a soft, ghostly light that sometimes allows you to see the entire circle of the moon, even when it is in its crescent phase. The dark portion, which should be lost in the black of space, glows with a faint ashen luminescence. This is not moonlight. This is earthlight. Sunlight strikes the bright cloud-swirled face of our planet, and a portion of that light is reflected back into space. It travels the 250,000 miles to the moon and gently illuminates the lunar landscape facing us. That reflected Earthlight then makes the journey back to our eyes. So in the faint glow of the crescent moon's dark side, you are seeing our own world's light after a round-trip journey of 500,000 miles. It is a cosmic echo, a gentle reminder of connection. When you see that old moon in the new moon's arms, you are witnessing a conversation of light between two worlds. It is a soft visual proof of their partnership. The Earth lights the moon, just as the moon in its fuller phases lights the Earth. It is a mutual, silent exchange, a gift of photons passed back and forth across the void. This earthshine is most visible in the days just after the new moon, a delicate, poetic sight. It speaks of gentleness, of light so faint it only reveals itself when you look softly, without forcing your gaze. It is a lesson in subtlety, in seeing the whole when only a part is directly illuminated. And it reminds us that even in what seems like darkness, light is often being reflected from an unexpected source, waiting to be perceived with patient eyes. This celestial partnership extends its influence into the very growth patterns of life on our planet. The word lunatic comes from an ancient belief in the moon's power over the mind, a notion we now set aside. But in a softer, more tangible way, the moon does influence biological rhythms, a field known as chronobiology. Many creatures, particularly in the ocean, sync their reproductive cycles to the phases of the moon. Certain corals, for example, release their eggs and sperm in a synchronized spawning event triggered by the full moon. The light acts as a cue, a gentle signal that the time is right. It is a slow, patient rhythm of life tied not to the rapid turning of days, but to the slower, more stately cycle of lunar phases. Even some ancient trees have been shown to have minute rhythmic contractions in their diameters that follow the tidal pull of the moon, a subtle pulsing as if the tree itself is breathing in time with a celestial guide. These are not dramatic influences, but subtle tugs, gentle synchronizations. They speak of a world where life is attuned to forces larger than the daily sunrise, connected to a slower, grander clock. For us, removed from those direct rhythms, the moon can still serve as a metronome for rest. Its cycle from dark to full and back to dark is a perfect metaphor for the cycle of activity and rest, of engagement and retreat. There is a time to shine brightly and a time to rest in shadow, reflecting a softer, borrowed light. Your own body knows these rhythms deep in its ancestral memory. Following the moon's lead, there is no guilt in retreating into rest, in allowing your own light to wane for a time, trusting that the phase of fullness will come again. The moon's constancy has made it humanity's first timepiece. Before calendars, before written history, people counted time by the moon. A month is, at its root, a moonth. The cycle from new moon to new moon, averaging about 29.5 days, provided a reliable way to mark the passage of time that was longer than a day, but shorter than a season. It divided the year into manageable, rhythmic segments. Ancient cultures across the globe watched the moon's phases to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to hold ceremonies. It was a clock in the sky, its face changing predictably, steadily. There is a deep comfort in this. In a world of uncertainty, the moon's phases were a promise of order. They were a visual, unfailing proof that time moves forward in a pattern, that there is a structure to existence. Even today, in our digital seconds and atomic clocks, a glance at the moon can tell you roughly where you are in the month. It connects you to that ancient, patient way of marking time, not by the frantic ticking of a second hand, but by the slow, graceful waxing and waning of a celestial body. It reminds you that some cycles are beyond human control or fabrication. They are gifts of orbital mechanics, a rhythm woven into the fabric of the solar system. As you rest, you can release your own sense of time, your worries about schedules and deadlines, to this older, calmer rhythm. Let your breathing follow the slow breath of the lunar month. There is no need to count the minutes. Simply know that overhead, the moon is keeping time in its ancient, silent way, and all is proceeding exactly as it should. And in its constancy, the moon offers a unique perspective on our own world. From the lunar surface, Earth is a breathtaking sight, a brilliant blue and white marble, 4 times wider in the sky than the moon appears to us, hanging in the eternal blackness. It goes through phases, too, from a thin crescent Earth to a glorious, luminous, full Earth. But unlike the moon, it rotates, showing its swirling clouds, its blue oceans, its brown and green continents. Astronauts who have seen this speak of the overwhelming beauty, the fragility, the profound stillness of that view. From that distance, all human history, all our wars and triumphs, all our art and love and fear is contained on that single lovely sphere, all of it silent, all borders invisible, all noise reduced to a perfect visual quiet. The moon provides the vantage point for this ultimate lesson in perspective. It allows us, conceptually, to step outside ourselves and see our home as a whole, a peaceful, integrated planet. The moon is the quiet neighbor that watches over the bustling activity of our world, never interfering, simply observing the beautiful, slow dance of clouds and continents. It holds the view of Earthrise over its own barren horizon, a sight of vibrant life juxtaposed with its own serene desolation. In this, the moon becomes a mirror, not of light, but of meaning. It shows us what we have, a world of dynamic, chaotic, beautiful life. And it shows us what it offers, a world of profound, unbroken peace. One needs the other. The dance needs the still point. The music needs the silence. And as you drift to sleep, you can imagine that view, the beautiful blue earth suspended in the void, seen from the quiet gray plains of a friend.
As we delve even deeper into the lunar quiet, let the concepts of earthshine, biological rhythms, and cosmic perspective become like distant, soft lights in the back of your mind, gently guiding you further into relaxation. The moon's story is one of immense slowness, and as we align with that pace, your own thoughts can slow, your heartbeat can settle, and you can simply be here in the gentle narrative. Let us now consider the moon's relationship with the sun and the beautiful, predictable shadows that dance between them. We spoke of the moon's phases, that slow dance of light and shadow, but within that dance there is a moment of perfect, quiet alignment, the eclipse. A lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth moves directly between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow upon the lunar surface. This is not a sudden event. It unfolds with exquisite, gradual slowness. First, a faint, dusky shading appears on the moon's eastern edge. This is the penumbra, the Earth's outer, fuzzy shadow. The change is so subtle you might not notice it at first. Then the umbra arrives, the deep central shadow. It begins as a dark, curved bite taken out of the bright lunar disk. And this shadow does not snap onto the moon. It creeps. It slides across craters and seas with a stately, silent grace, taking perhaps an hour to completely envelop the moon. And when totality is achieved, something magical happens. The moon does not disappear. It often transforms into a dim, coppery orb hanging in the starry sky. This is because while the Earth blocks direct sunlight, our atmosphere bends and filters the sun's rays, scattering the blue light and allowing the longer red wavelengths to pass through, gently bathing the moon in a dim, rusty glow. It is a world seen by the light of every sunrise and sunset on Earth happening simultaneously, projected onto its surface. It is a silent, global blush. There is no sound to this event, only the slow, inevitable movement of shadows and the transformation of familiar silver into mysterious, deep copper. It is a celestial spectacle of utmost peace, a demonstration of orbital harmony that feels less like a drama and more like a slow, deep breath held by the planet itself. And then, just as slowly, the shadow retreats, the silver returns, and the moon resumes its familiar appearance, as if the whole event were a quiet dream. An eclipse is the universe moving at its most patient, deliberate pace, reminding us that even the grandest alignments occur without rush, without noise, in the grand, quiet machinery of the sky. This gentle world also possesses a quality of profound cold. In the 2-week-long lunar night, temperatures on the surface can plunge to around -280 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than the surface of Pluto in some places. This is a cold beyond our earthly experience, a cold that is absolute and still. There is no wind to make it feel sharper. It is simply the absence of heat, a deep, quiet sinking into thermodynamic stillness. Matter at such temperatures moves very slowly. Atoms vibrate with less and less energy. It is a state of near-perfect rest. And while we cannot truly imagine such cold, we can imagine the feeling of the stillness that accompanies it. It is the stillness of a deep freezer, but on a planetary scale. A silence so complete it feels solidified. This extreme cold is not a violent force, it is a passive state. It is what happens when the sun turns its face away for a long, long time, and the land simply relaxes into the chill of space. It is a deep, cosmic sleep. And then, when the sun finally rises again after those 14 Earth days, the surface warms with equal slowness, taking its time to absorb the energy, never rushing the transition. This cycle of extreme heat and extreme cold is a lesson in acceptance and transition. The moon does not resist the cold, it surrenders to it completely, knowing the warmth will return in its own due time. In your own journey toward sleep, you can imagine surrendering to a coolness, not of fear, but of deep rest, feeling the warmth of your body under the covers and welcoming a cool stillness in your mind, a peaceful lunar quiet that settles into your thoughts, slowing them, calming them, preparing them for rest. Despite this harsh environment, the moon may not be entirely devoid of a kind of stillness that could, one day, support a human presence in peace. In the permanently shadowed craters at the lunar poles, scientists believe there may exist deposits of water ice, sheltered from the sun's heat for billions of years. These are among the coldest places in the entire solar system. Think of that, a shadow that has never moved, a cold that has never been interrupted. Within those shadows, water from ancient comet impacts may lie frozen, preserved in a timeless deep freeze. This is not a bustling oasis, but a silent reservoir, a memory of cosmic delivery, kept safe in unbroken darkness. The discovery of this potential resource speaks not of a lively world, but of a world that keeps secrets, that holds on to gifts in its quietest, darkest corners. It is a metaphor for the reserves of peace we all hold within us, in our own permanently shadowed places, untouched by the heat of daily life. Resources of calm, of stillness, of resilience, waiting in the cool dark to be discovered when needed. The moon teaches us that even in the most barren-seeming landscapes, essential things can be preserved if only one knows where to look, in the places where the light does not reach, where the noise does not penetrate, in the deep, quiet craters of the self. And finally, for this part of our journey, consider the simple geometric beauty of the moon's orbit. It is not a perfect circle, but an ellipse, a gentle oval. This means its distance from us varies. At its closest approach, perigee, it's about 225,000 miles away. At its farthest, apogee, about 252,000 miles. This variation is not a jagged, erratic change. It is a smooth, predictable pulsing, a gentle breathing in and out of distance. The moon breathes once per orbit, a slow cosmic inhalation and exhalation that takes about 27.3 days. When it is close and full, we sometimes call it a supermoon, appearing slightly larger and brighter in our sky. But even then, the change is subtle. It is a gentle swelling, a soft focusing of the light. It is not an invasion or an assault. It is merely the moon coming as close as it ever does for a quiet visit before beginning its slow retreat back to a more distant station. This rhythmic variation adds a soft layer of complexity to its constancy. It is never exactly the same, yet it is always reliably within its range. It is a lesson in consistent variation, a dependable change within dependable patterns. Your own state of being has its perigees and apogees, its times of feeling close and bright, and times of feeling more distant, more reserved. The moon models that this is natural, this gentle oscillation, and that both points in the cycle are part of a beautiful, smooth orbital path. There is no wrong place to be in that cycle. Both the close embrace and the respectful distance are part of the eternal, quiet dance. So, as you rest, feel your own rhythms. There is no need to be at perigee, at your brightest and closest. It is perfectly fine to be at apogee, distant, quiet, resting in the softer light of your own being, knowing your orbit is stable, and your path, however elliptical, is perfectly, peacefully your own.
As we move deeper into our lunar meditation, let the previous ideas of eclipses, deep cold, hidden ice, and gentle orbital breathing blend together into a single, soothing sense of celestial order. All is as it should be, moving with a slow, silent predictability. Now let your mind drift to the moon's influence on the very fabric of our perception, on art, on dream, and on the quiet science of simply watching. For centuries, the moon has been the muse of the sleepless and the dreamer. Its light has spilled across the pages of countless poems. Its face has been painted in oils and watercolors. Its mystery has been woven into myths and melodies. But this artistic inspiration is of a particular kind. The sun inspires activity, vigor, bright colors. The moon inspires reflection, melancholy, softness, and wonder. It is the light of introspection. In its glow, the world seems softer, edges blur, details become suggestions. This quality makes it a perfect companion for the mind easing into sleep. The moon does not demand a masterpiece, it invites a sigh. It invites a gentle, wandering thought. When a poet looks at the moon, they are not seeing just a rock. They are seeing a mirror for human emotion, loneliness, love, longing, peace. It accepts all these projections without comment. It is a blank silver screen upon which we paint our quietest feelings. And as you listen now, you can engage in that same ancient practice. You don't need to write a poem. Simply allow the moon in your mind's eye to be a receptacle for any lingering thoughts of the day. Imagine placing them on its cool gray surface where they lose their urgency, their heat, and become simply part of the landscape, small and quiet and still, like distant craters. The moon has absorbed human wonder for millennia. It can certainly hold your gentle thoughts tonight, leaving your mind clear and calm, like a moonlit night with only a few soft clouds. This reflective quality leads us to the simple, almost forgotten act of moon-gazing. Unlike stargazing, which can feel like an attempt to catalog infinity, moon-gazing is a focused, gentle practice. You look at one thing. Your eyes are not straining to see faint pinpricks of light. They are resting on a soft, defined disk. You can trace the familiar patterns,
the dark smudge of the Sea of Tranquility, the bright splash of Tycho crater with its rays stretching out. There is no test, no need to memorize names. It is simply observation, a quiet communion. In many ways, it is a form of meditation. Your breath slows. Your mind, tasked only with the simple job of seeing, begins to quiet. The worries that chatter during the day are hushed by the sheer, silent presence of that distant world. It is a practice that requires nothing but a window and a glance upward. It is an anchor to the present moment, a reminder that there is a whole universe of calm just outside your daily concerns. Even if clouds obscure the view, you know it is there, constant behind the veil. So tonight, you can practice this inner moon gazing. Picture it in your mind, in as much or as little detail as feels peaceful. Watch it, not with analytical eyes, but with soft, focused awareness. Let it be a focal point for your drifting attention, a still point in the turning world of your thoughts, drawing them into a slower, more peaceful orbit. Scientifically, our understanding of the moon is a story of gentle correction, of quiet discovery. For ages, people believed the dark Maria were actual seas. They were wrong, but the mistake was a beautiful one, born of poetic observation. They named them accordingly: Mare Imbrium, Sea of Rains; Mare Nubium, Sea of Clouds; Mare Serenitatis, Sea of Serenity. Even when we learned they were plains of basalt, the names remained. The poetry was not erased by the fact, it was layered with new meaning. This is a gentle metaphor for how understanding grows, not always through shocking revolutions, but through slow, cumulative clarification. The moon we know today is more fascinating, more complex, and yet more peacefully explained than the mysterious goddess of antiquity. We have mapped its gravity, sampled its rocks, measured its tremors, and with each discovery, its essential serenity has only been magnified. We found it is seismically quiet, experiencing only the faintest moonquakes, most deep and mild as it cools and contracts by fractions of a millimeter over millennia. Even its interior is calm. This process of discovery itself is a soothing narrative. It tells us that the universe is knowable, that its mysteries yield patiently to inquiry, and that the answers, when they come, often deepen the wonder rather than dispel it. The moon has allowed us to practice the science of gentle exploration, first with telescopes, then with robots, then with human visitors who walked softly and left only footprints and peace plaques. It is a story without villains or drama, only the steady, patient accumulation of light upon a subject once shrouded in myth. And those human visitors, the Apollo astronauts, brought back descriptions that consistently emphasized not adrenaline, but awe and a profound, humbling quiet. They spoke of the magnificent desolation of the landscape, the sheer, stark beauty of a world stripped down to its essentials. They described the sky as a deep, velvety black, even at noon, and the horizon as disconcertingly close due to the moon's smaller curvature. But most of all, they spoke of the silence. With their radios off, standing on the surface, the silence was absolute. A silence unlike any on Earth, because it was not the absence of sound, but the impossibility of it. There is no medium to carry a whisper, a rustle, a breath. It is a silence that enters you. In that silence, under that black sky, with the beautiful blue earth hanging overhead, many experienced a cognitive shift known as the overview effect, a profound sense of connection, peace, and a reevaluation of what is important. The moon provided the platform for this transcendent quiet. It offered the ultimate retreat from the noise of the world, both literal and figurative. You do not need to go to the moon to access a version of this feeling. You can access the lunar silence internally. As you lie in the dark of your room, imagine that absolute quiet of the lunar surface. Imagine it spreading from the image in your mind, seeping into your thoughts, muting the internal chatter. It is a silence that is not empty, but full of presence, the presence of stillness itself. Let that imagined lunar silence fill the spaces between your thoughts, until the thoughts themselves are like distant, slow-moving stars in a vast, quiet mind, and you are simply the peaceful ground upon which they pass, cool, gray, and still.
Let the feeling of that profound lunar silence, described by astronauts, settle within you now. A deep and resonant quiet that has traveled across the void to find a place in your own stillness. As we continue, we will explore how the moon, in its serene passivity, has shaped not just tides and myths, but the very stability of our world, and how it continues to be a beacon for a certain kind of gentle, hopeful future. The moon is Earth's steadfast gyroscope, a stabilizing force of immense patience. As our planet spins on its tilted axis, it has a tendency to wobble or precess over long periods of time. This wobble, if left unchecked by a large satellite, could become more extreme, leading to dramatic and chaotic shifts in climate over millennia. But the moon's gravitational presence acts as a gentle hand on the spinning top. It dampens those oscillations. It moderates the tilt, keeping it within a narrow, stable range between about 22.1 and 24.5 degrees over tens of thousands of years. This stable tilt is what gives us our predictable, rhythmic seasons. Without the moon, our planetary spin might have drifted into wild, erratic tilts, causing climate swings so severe that the peaceful, gradual evolution of complex life might have been impossible. So the moon's quiet influence is foundational to the very tranquility of our biosphere. It is the unsung guardian of spring blossoms, autumn colors, and the gentle cycle of the years. It provides a constancy so deep we never notice it, a background stability that allows life to flourish in relative peace. Consider that for a moment. The serene, silent moon overhead is the reason our climate has known a modicum of order for billions of years. It is a force for cosmic calm. Its gravitational touch, a gentle, constant correction, a whisper that says, "Steady, steady," to the spinning world below. And as you think of that, you can feel a similar, gentle, stabilizing force in your own body. Your breath, rising and falling, steadies your system. Your heartbeat, a quiet, internal drum, maintains its rhythm. You have your own inner moons, providing stability, allowing the ecosystem of your being to find its peaceful, predictable balance. This gravitational partnership has also led to a beautiful, slow, mutual drift. The moon is not static in its orbit. Due to the complex dance of tides, it is moving away from Earth at a rate of about 1.5 inches per year. The energy for this movement comes from Earth's rotation, which is very, very gradually slowing down. This is a process of almost unimaginable slowness. In the age of the dinosaurs, the moon was closer, appearing larger in the sky, and the day was perhaps only 23 hours long. In the far future, billions of years from now,
The moon will be more distant, and Earth's rotation will have slowed so much that a day will be longer. But these changes are imperceptible on any human timescale. They are geological breaths. This gradual retreat is not a separation. It is a slow, graceful expansion of the dance floor. The two partners are adjusting their hold, widening their orbit, in a mutual agreement that takes eons to negotiate. There is no loss in this, only a slow, inevitable change that is part of their long shared history. It is a reminder that all relationships evolve, and that the most stable ones do so with infinite patience, with adjustments so small they are felt only over lifetimes of lifetimes. Your own life has these slow drifts, changes in perspective, in understanding, in your own internal rhythms. The moon models that such drift is natural, peaceful, and part of a grand, graceful orbital pattern. There is no need to grasp or to fear change that occurs at the rate of 1.5 inches per year. It is the pace of acceptance, the speed of gentle release. Looking forward, the moon is seen not as a stepping stone to conquest, but increasingly as a place for a new kind of quiet presence. Plans for lunar bases often envision them not as bustling cities, but as isolated, serene outposts, places of science and contemplation. Imagine a small, pressurized habitat nestled in the shadow of a crater rim for protection from radiation. Inside, it is warm, lit, and hums softly with life support. Outside, the landscape is frozen in absolute stillness under a black sky. The sun would rise with a slow, majestic inevitability, casting long, sharp shadows that barely move across the hours. The earth would hang, a beautiful ornament, going through its phases. The work would be methodical, careful, deliberate. Every action would have weight and consequence in the fragile environment. It would be a life of heightened awareness and profound quiet. A lunar settler would experience days of intense, focused work inside, and then the opportunity to look out a large viewport at the immutable landscape, a vista that has not changed in 1 billion years. It would be the ultimate retreat, a monastery of science and silence. This vision of the moon's future is not of noise and colonization, but of a gentle, sustained observation. A return to the moon would be a return to quiet, to a simpler relationship with a stark and beautiful world. It is a hopeful vision because it is a vision of peace, of extending the human capacity for calm presence into a new environment. As you drift toward sleep, you can imagine being in such a quiet outpost, safe, enclosed, warm, looking out at the eternal, silent grandeur. All the noise of the world is 250,000 miles away, softened to a memory. There is only the now, and the profound, peaceful now of the lunar surface. Finally, let us consider the moon in its simplest, most fundamental role as a counterpoint. Earth is a world of vibrant, noisy, chaotic life. It is change incarnate. The moon is a world of silent, still, constant geology. It is permanence incarnate. One is blue and green and white, swirling with activity. The other is gray and beige and black, frozen in time. They are opposites that define each other. The moon makes Earth feel more alive, more precious. Earth makes the moon feel more serene, more profound. One needs the other to be fully understood. In music,
The most beautiful harmonies often involve a sustained note against a moving melody. Earth is the melody, complex, evolving, emotional. The moon is the sustained note, the deep, resonant drone that holds the foundation, that gives the melody context and depth. Your own life has this same structure. There are melodies, your thoughts, your actions, your daily engagements, and there is a sustained note, your breath, your heartbeat, the underlying awareness that simply is. Often we focus only on the melody, on its complexities and discords. But sleep is a time to tune in to the sustained note, the lunar note, the note of pure being, not doing, not thinking, not achieving, just being, as constant and serene as the moon in its orbit. So now, let the melody of your day's thoughts fade out. Let the last notes dissipate into the quiet of your room, and listen instead for that sustained note, the note of your quiet presence, the lunar note. Feel it in the stillness of your body, in the darkness behind your closed eyelids, in the slow tidal rhythm of your breath. It has been there all along, patient and unwavering, the foundation upon which the daily melody is played. Now, let it be all there is, a single, peaceful note hanging in the silent black sky of your mind, glowing with a soft, borrowed light, steady.
As we near the midpoint of our lunar contemplation, let the idea of the moon as a sustaining note, a foundational drone in the music of existence, resonate deeply within you. This note is not loud, it is a quiet hum of constancy, and you can feel it now, a vibration of peace. Let us continue to explore the facets of this constant companion, moving from its physical presence to its more ethereal, philosophical gifts. Consider the moon's permanence in the human story. It is the one celestial object that has been truly familiar to every human culture, in every epoch, in every corner of the globe. While constellations shift with the seasons and planets wander unpredictably against the starry backdrop, the moon is reliably, recognizably there. Its phases provided the first universal calendar. Its light illuminated the nights before electricity. Its face inspired stories that, though different in detail, a rabbit, a man, a goddess, a toad, all spoke to the same human impulse to find meaning in its patterns. This shared lunar heritage is a gentle thread connecting all of humanity. The moon you see tonight is the same moon that shone on the builders of the pyramids, on the philosophers of Athens, on the Silk Roads of Asia, on the first peoples crossing the Bering Land Bridge. It is a silent witness to the entirety of the human journey. In a world that often feels fractured, this is a unifying thought. Billions of eyes across thousands of generations have looked up with the same soft wonder at the same luminous disk. Your gaze is part of that timeless continuity. There is a deep comfort in this shared observation, a silent fellowship with all who have ever paused in their toils to look up and sigh at its beauty. It connects you not only to the cosmos, but to the long, quiet lineage of human wonder. This familiar object also holds a lesson in perceptual illusion, a gentle trick of the mind that soothes rather than startles. The moon illusion is the phenomenon where the moon appears much larger near the horizon than it does high in the sky. This is not a physical change, it is a trick of our own perception, a quirk of how our brain processes the world. When the moon is low, we see it framed by trees, buildings, and hills, objects whose size we know.
Our brain, trying to make sense of the scene, unconsciously inflates the moon's size to fit the grand scale of the landscape. When it is high in the empty sky, there is no reference, and it appears as the smaller, true angular diameter it always possesses. This illusion is a gentle reminder that our senses are not perfect recorders of reality. They are interpreters, and sometimes their interpretations are geared toward wonder. The brain chooses in that moment to see a grand, magnificent orb resting on the rooftops, a more dramatic and emotionally stirring sight than the technical truth. It is a kindness our perception does for us. It amplifies beauty. It tells us a story that is more poetic than factual, and we can accept this gift without needing to correct it. We can enjoy the large, orange harvest moon just as we enjoy the small, sharp winter moon, knowing both are beautiful experiences crafted by the collaboration of physics and perception. It teaches us that sometimes the most peaceful approach is to accept the beautiful illusion, to live in the poetic truth of the moment without demanding sterile fact. In the state between wakefulness and sleep, your own perceptions will soften and blur. Objects in the room may lose their hard edges. Sounds may seem distant or muted. This is your own mind's gentle illusion, crafting a softer, more forgiving world in which to drift away. Do not fight it. Allow it, like the moon illusion, to be a beautiful, transitional truth. The moon also presents a paradox of proximity and distance. It is, in cosmic terms, incredibly close. Our robotic probes have reached the edges of the solar system, but the moon remains our only visit to another world. Yet that proximity is still a gulf of 250,000 miles. It is close enough to see details with the naked eye, yet far enough that its light takes over a second to reach us. This distance creates a safe space for contemplation. It is not so close as to be overwhelming or threatening, like a looming planet might be, nor is it so far as to be a mere pinprick of light, an abstract concept. It exists in a perfect middle ground, a nearby world. This ideal distance makes it a perfect object for peaceful thought. You can project your thoughts onto it, but they are not immediately consumed or answered. They are given room to breathe, to float across the void. It is a diplomatic distance, a respectful separation that allows for connection without engulfment. In your relationships, in your own mind, having a little lunar distance, a space for quiet reflection, a buffer of peaceful silence, can be a source of great calm. The moon models this healthy, beautiful space. It is always there, but it is always over there. It is the ideal neighbor, present, constant, beautiful, but never intrusive, never demanding, always respecting the quiet dark between your home and its own. And in its constancy, it offers the ultimate lesson in change within sameness. The moon is always the moon. Yet it is never exactly the same. Its phase changes nightly. The libration subtly alters our view of its edges. Earthshine sometimes softens its crescent. Eclipses temporarily transform its color. Its distance gently pulses. It is a master class in the beauty of minor variations on a timeless theme. This is the rhythm of a peaceful life. The underlying self remains constant, but the presentation, the illumination, the perspective shifts in gentle, predictable, beautiful ways. Some nights you feel full and bright, illuminating everything around you. Other nights you are a slim crescent, conserving your light, showing only a sliver of yourself. Some cycles you are in shadow, reflecting only the gentle, borrowed light of love from others. All these phases are valid. All are part of the complete cycle. None are permanent. The moon does not lament its waning. It knows the waxing will come. It does not cling to its fullness. It accepts the gradual softening into shadow. It moves through its phases with a quiet, passive grace, an acceptance of the light it is given. As you rest, you can apply this acceptance to your own being. Whatever phase you are in tonight, whether you feel full of energy or barely a sliver, whether you feel illuminated or in shadow, know that it is a temporary, beautiful, and necessary part of your orbit. There is no need to force a different phase. Simply be the phase you are, as peacefully as the moon itself, knowing that change is woven into the fabric of your constancy, and that all of it is held in the vast, quiet space of simply being. Let the feeling of being in your perfect phase, whatever it may be, settle over you like a soft, comfortable cloak. There is no need to be anything other than what you are in this quiet moment. As we continue to orbit these soothing lunar truths, let us turn our gaze to the moon's more subtle interactions with the sky itself, with human ingenuity, and with the very concept of time. There is a gentle phenomenon that occurs only when the moon is a thin crescent, low in the twilight sky. It is called the old moon in the new moon's arms. But it also allows us to see Earth shine on the dark side, as we've discussed. But there is a further delicate detail. Sometimes the entire faint circle of the moon is visible, and the slender sunlit crescent appears to complete a circle outside that faint globe. This is an illusion of contrast, but it creates the breathtaking image of the moon as a fragile, luminous ring hanging in the deep blue of evening. It looks like a cosmic soap bubble or a celestial thumbprint. This evanescent sight lasts only for a short while before the sky darkens or the moon sets. It is a sight that demands patience and a soft focus to see. It rewards the quiet observer, the one who is not in a hurry, who is willing to simply stand and let the twilight deepen around them. It is a gift for the peaceful, a reminder that the universe creates moments of exquisite, transient beauty that are not announced but whispered. They are there for those who have slowed down enough to listen with their eyes. In your mind's eye now, you can picture this, a perfect, ghostly circle in the twilight, with a horn of solid silver light on its edge. It is an image of completeness and fragility all at once. Hold that image gently. It is not meant to be analyzed, only appreciated, like a half-remembered dream of perfect geometry, suspended in the blue hour between day and night. The moon's presence also scrubs the sky clean of stars. On a moonless night, the Milky Way can blaze with thousands of pinpricks of light. But when the moon is full, its gentle glow washes out all but the brightest stars and planets. This is not an aggressive act, it is a softening. The moon simplifies the night sky. It provides a focal point, reducing the overwhelming complexity of the galaxy to a more manageable, more peaceful scene. A brilliant, placid disk, accompanied by a few steadfast stellar companions like Jupiter or Saturn. For the overwhelmed mind, a moonlit sky can be more soothing than a perfectly dark one. The darkness can feel infinite, deep, and full of unresolved questions. The moonlit sky feels contained, known, friendly. It illuminates the immediate, the shape of a cloud, the silhouette of a tree, the contour of a rooftop, while gently veiling the dizzying depths beyond. It creates a dome of familiar light, a ceiling to the world that feels protective and close. It tells the mind, you do not have to contemplate all of infinity tonight. Just this soft light and the quiet shapes it reveals. As you lie in the dark of your room, you can imagine this softening effect. Let the moon in your mind cast its gentle silver light over the complex constellations of your thoughts. Let it wash out the faint, worrying stars of minor anxieties, leaving only a few bright, positive points: gratitude for your rest, the comfort of your bed, the rhythm of your breath, and the large, calming presence of the moon itself, simplifying everything into light and soft shadow. Humanity's efforts to reach the moon have given us not only technology, but also metaphors of gentle precision. The journey of a spacecraft to the moon is not a violent blast straight upward. It is a series of gentle, calculated maneuvers, a soft push into an elliptical orbit, a timed quiet burn at just the right moment to stretch that orbit to meet the moon's sphere of influence, a delicate capture by lunar gravity. It is a dance of orbits, a graceful insertion into a pre-existing cosmic waltz. The Apollo missions referred to this as translunar injection, a beautiful phrase that sounds more like a gentle transition of state than a rocket launch. Even the landing itself was an exercise in controlled, gentle descent. The lunar module did not crash land. It hovered on a column of its own engine thrust, navigating slowly over the cratered surface, seeking a level spot before settling down with what astronauts described as a soft contact light. The first human artifact to touch the moon softly was a seismometer, an instrument designed to listen to the moon's quiet interior tremors. This narrative of exploration is one of incredible power, harnessed for the purpose of exquisite gentleness. It is a story of reaching out with immense care, of touching another world with a whisper, not a shout. This idea that great endeavors can be accomplished with focus, precision, and a light touch is a calming one. It suggests that force is not always the answer. Sometimes the way forward is through a series of gentle, correct adjustments, a patient aligning of your own trajectory with the gentle forces already at work in the universe. And once there, the instruments left behind continue their quiet work. The retroreflectors, arrays of mirrors placed by Apollo astronauts and Soviet rovers, sit on the surface, inert and passive. They do nothing but wait. When scientists on Earth aim a powerful laser beam at them, the mirrors simply reflect that light straight back. By timing the round trip of the light pulse, we can measure the distance to the moon with millimeter precision. It is the most peaceful scientific experiment imaginable. A conversation of light, a gentle ping across the void, answered by a silent, predictable echo. These mirrors will likely continue to function for millions of years, requiring no power, no maintenance. They are a permanent, quiet invitation for Earth to reach out and measure, to connect. They are a symbol of peaceful intellectual curiosity made permanent, a handshake frozen in light. As you rest, you can imagine this, a thin, coherent beam of light, invisible in the vacuum, traveling the 250,000 miles, striking a small mirrored array in the sea of tranquility, and returning, a little fainter, with a story of exact distance. It is a thought that embodies precision, connection, and quiet endurance. It is a thread of light, a tether of knowledge that binds the two worlds in a silent, mathematical harmony. Your own mind can send out such gentle, measured thoughts of peace, of gratitude, and sense their echo in the calm that returns, measuring the growing distance between you and the concerns of the day, finding with each breath that the space is widening, becoming a vast and peaceful gulf across which only silent, friendly signals travel.
Let the image of that silent laser beam traveling between worlds in a perfect straight line of inquiry fade slowly into the background of your awareness, a metaphor for the gentle, precise connections we can make in a state of calm. As we drift further into our lunar reverie, let us consider the moon's role in the grander cosmic picture, its composition, and the profound quiet it offers to the very concept of sound. The moon is a world of exquisite mineral simplicity. Unlike Earth, with its vast, churning variety of rocks, ores, and gemstones forged by water, wind, and tectonics, the moon's geology is stark and pure. Its most common rocks are anorthosite, a pale crystalline rock that forms the bright lunar highlands, and basalt, the dark, fine-grained rock of the Maria. These rocks are not cluttered with the complex fossil records or layered sediments of Earth. They are primal. They speak of a time when the solar system was young and processes were more direct: magma cooling, crystals settling, impacts mixing. Scientists study lunar samples and see a cleaner, more straightforward geological history. There is a serenity in this simplicity. The moon is not hiding complex stories of life or dramatic continental collisions. Its story, while long, is elegantly simple: formation, cooling, bombardment, volcanic flooding, and then quiet. To hold a moon rock is to hold a piece of that simplified timeline, a relic of a less complicated age. In a world that often feels overwhelmingly complex, with layers of meaning and contradiction, the moon stands as a testament to elemental truths: rock, light, shadow, time. It is a reduction to fundamentals, and there is a deep peace in fundamentals. As your mind unwinds, you can allow your own complexities to simplify. You are not the layered stories of your day, the intertwined duties and social intricacies. Right now, you are simply a breathing being, resting in the dark, listening to a calm voice. Reduce yourself peacefully to your own fundamentals: breath, heartbeat, presence. Be as simple and serene for these moments as a grain of anorthosite on a vast, silent plain, part of a beautiful, uncomplicated whole. This simple world has no magnetic field. Earth is wrapped in a protective, dynamic magnetosphere generated by the churning of its molten iron core. This magnetosphere deflects the solar wind, that constant stream of charged particles from the sun, and creates the shimmering auroras at our poles. The moon has no such shield. The solar wind strikes its surface directly, implanting particles into the regolith. Without a magnetic field, the moon also has no protection from cosmic rays, high-energy particles from deep space. This might sound harsh, but from the moon's perspective, it is simply a state of being. It is openly exposed to the universe. It receives these energies passively, incorporating them into its being over the eons. There is no struggle, no defense. It is a world that accepts the full input of the cosmos without filter. This openness is another form of stillness. It does not tense against the solar wind. It allows it to wash over its surface, leaving a faint atomic signature. In your own life, the idea of having no magnetic field can be translated into a state of open acceptance, not building energetic shields against every stimulus, but allowing certain energies, like the gentle energy of this narrative or the quiet of the night, to simply wash over you without resistance. To be, for a time, undefended in a safe space. To be open, like the lunar surface, to the gentle cosmic weather of restful thoughts, knowing they will not harm you, but will only become part of your peaceful composition. The absence of a magnetic field also means the moon has no atmosphere to scatter light, to carry sound, or to moderate temperature. We have touched on the silence, but let us dwell in it more deeply. Sound is a vibration through a medium: air, water, rock. On the moon,
With no appreciable atmosphere, sound as we know it cannot exist. If you were to stand on the surface and shout, your vocal cords would vibrate, but the vibrations would have nothing to carry them. They would dissipate instantly into the void around your helmet. The only sounds you would hear are those conducted through your body and your suit, your own breathing, the rustle of your clothing, the hum of your life support, the sound of your boots on the regolith transmitted up through your bones. All external sounds, the landing of your spacecraft, the movement of a companion, even an impact, would be utterly silent. It is a world of profound, breathtaking quiet. This is not the quiet of a library or a remote forest where sound is muted but present. This is the quiet of pure vacuum. It is the sound of the universe itself, which is to say, it is the absence of sound. This absolute auditory stillness is difficult to imagine, but you can feel its analog in deep relaxation. It is the quiet that comes when the internal chatter of the mind finally settles, when the mental to-do lists, the fragments of song, the replaying of conversations all fade away. What is left is not emptiness, but a spacious, silent awareness, a vacuum of mental noise. You can cultivate that inner lunar silence now. With each exhale, imagine the sounds of your day, the internal dialogues, being released into a vast, silent vacuum where they simply dissipate. What remains is a clear, silent space, perfect and undisturbed, ready for the deep, restorative peace of sleep. In this silent, stark environment, even the way light behaves is simpler and, in its simplicity, strangely beautiful. There is no atmospheric perspective. On Earth, distant mountains appear hazy and blue because of the scattering of light through miles of air. On the Moon, there is no haze. A mountain 10 miles away appears as sharp and clear as a rock at your feet. This gives the landscape a surreal, hyper-real quality. Depth perception can be difficult because the normal visual cues are missing. But this clarity also means that light obeys only the simplest rules. It travels in straight lines, and it creates shadows of absolute blackness. In the shadow of a rock or inside a crater, the darkness is utter and complete because there is no air to scatter in ambient light. The transition from sunlight to shadow is instantaneous, a knife-edge line. This creates a landscape of extreme contrast, a black and white photograph rendered in 3 dimensions. It is a world of pure geometry, and within that geometry there is a kind of stark beauty, a minimalist aesthetic that is calming in its lack of ambiguity. Everything is exactly what it is, clearly defined. Light is light, shadow is shadow, rock is rock. There are no soft gradations, no muddy grays of indecision. For a mind tired of nuance and uncertainty, this lunar clarity can be a soothing fantasy. Imagine your own concerns brought into such light. They would either be in the brilliant, clear light of understanding, or they would be in the absolute shadow of release, of things let go. There would be no confusing twilight. As you rest, you can practice this gentle categorization. Picture the things you hold, which can be left in the stark, illuminating light of simple acceptance, and which can be allowed to fall into the deep, cool, forgiving shadow of temporary release. You do not have to solve them. Simply place them in the light or the shadow, and allow the landscape of your mind to become as simple, as clear, and as serene as a sunlit lunar plain adjacent to a pool of restful, absolute dark.
Let the feeling of that stark, silent clarity remain, a world of simple light and simple shadow, where everything has its defined place. As we continue to orbit these calming truths, let us expand our view to see the moon not as an isolated world, but as part of a family, and to consider the gentle cosmic patience written into its very surface. The moon is not alone in its relationship with a planet. Many planets in our solar system have moons, some dozens, even hundreds. Jupiter's Ganymede is larger than Mercury. Saturn's Titan has a thick atmosphere and liquid methane lakes. In comparison, our moon might seem ordinary, but therein lies its special grace. It is not the largest, nor the most active, nor the most mysterious. It is, in many ways, average. And there is a profound comfort in the average, in the ordinary that is extraordinary in its constancy. Our moon's size, relative to Earth, is unusually large for a terrestrial planet. This gives our system a special balance, a dual planet quality that is rare. But its nature, rocky, airless, geologically quiet, is commonplace in the cosmos. This makes it a friendly ambassador. When we look at it, we are not looking at a freakish anomaly. We are looking at a template for a kind of world that is likely common throughout the galaxy. Silent, cratered, peaceful worlds orbiting other stars. The moon normalizes the cosmos. It says, the universe is full of quiet places like me. This is a deeply settling thought. The majesty of the cosmos is not just in its brilliant nebulae and colliding galaxies. It is also in the countless serene moons spinning in quiet darkness, keeping their silent vigil over their own worlds. Our moon is our personal connection to that vast, quiet majority. It is a bridge between the familiar and the cosmic, assuring us that peace is not a rare exception, but a fundamental state of being for much of the universe. This ordinary yet special moon also acts as a recorder for a reign that has mostly ceased. The heavily cratered highlands are a fossilized record of the late heavy bombardment, a period about 4 billion years ago when the inner solar system was swept by a storm of asteroids and comets. Earth was struck just as frequently, but our active geology and weather have erased almost all traces of that ancient pelting. The moon, with its timeless surface, kept the record. Every crater in its highlands is a note from that ancient, violent symphony. But now that symphony is over. The bombardment slowed to an occasional, gentle drizzle of micrometeorites. The moon's surface today is a testament to a past that has long since calmed. It is a landscape that has known intense activity and has now settled into an era of profound, enduring peace. It shows us that even the most turbulent times are followed by quiet. The chaos is not permanent, it is a phase. The craters are not signs of ongoing trauma, but healed scars, memories of a tempest that passed billions of years ago. Whatever late heavy bombardment you may have experienced in your own life, periods of stress, of intense demand, of emotional impacts, know that they too can become like these lunar highlands. The events leave their marks, yes, but the marks become part of the landscape, softened by the dust of time, and the present reality is one of quiet. The storm is over. Now there is only the gentle, patient accumulation of dust and the slow, slow erasure by the gentlest of forces, the occasional tiny impact, the thermal stress of the day-night cycle over millions of years. Your present is the peaceful plane that exists long, long after the bombardment. One of the most soothing aspects of the moon is its lack of ownership. It is governed by the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, which states that no nation can claim sovereignty over the moon or any other celestial body. It is, by international agreement, a province of all humankind. It belongs to everyone and to no one. This makes it a truly neutral space, a common ground, quite literally, for all humanity. There are no borders on the moon, no flags except those placed as symbols of human achievement, not of territorial claim. It is a blank slate upon which we have projected not conquest, but cooperation. The first words from the moon were, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," not for a country, but for mankind. This ideal may be imperfectly realized on Earth, but above us, in the silvery light, exists a world that embodies that ideal in law and in spirit. It is a shared treasure. When you look at it, you are not looking at something that belongs to another. You are looking at something that is part of the common heritage of every person on the planet. This thought fosters a gentle unity. Your connection to the moon is as valid as anyone else's. It is your companion as much as it is the companion of someone on the other side of the globe. In a divided world, the moon remains an undivided, unifying sight. Its light falls equally on all. It is a reminder of our shared home, our shared sky, and our shared capacity for wonder. Finally, for this segment, consider the moon's role in slowing our planet's spin. We mentioned the tidal breaking, the gradual transfer of rotational energy that is pushing the moon away and lengthening our day. This process is the ultimate example of a gentle, long-term influence. The moon is applying a soft, constant brake on Earth's rotation. It is not a jerk or a jolt. It is a steady, gentle hand on the wheel, slowing the spin by a fraction of a second every century. This means that time itself, as measured by the length of an Earth day, is slowly, slowly stretching. The moon is gently giving us the gift of more time, not in our lifetimes, but in the lifetime of our species, of our planet. It is a patient gift, given incrementally over spans so vast they are meaningless to our daily clocks, but deeply meaningful to the cosmos. It is a calming thought that the very rhythm of our world is being gently moderated by our companion, that the rush of time itself is being softened, slowed by a silent, gravitational presence. As you feel the rush of your own thoughts slowing now, you can imagine it as a personal, miniature version of this cosmic process. The gentle narrative, the soft repetition, the calming facts, they are a gentle brake on the spinning wheels of your mind. They are slowing your mental rotation, lengthening the moments between thoughts, stretching time into a more peaceful, spacious experience. Allow that gentle lunar braking to take effect. Feel the spin of your worries slow and slow and slow, until each moment is long and quiet and still, and you are simply present in the extended, peaceful day of your own rest.
Let the feeling of that gentle cosmic braking continue to slow the inner spin of your thoughts, creating a spacious, quiet, present moment. As we delve further into the lunar tapestry, we will explore its more subtle interactions with light, its role in human imagination, and the profound stillness that exists not just on its surface, but in its very relationship with the sun. There is a moment,
just before sunrise or just after sunset on the moon that is uniquely serene. It is not a dawn as we know it. Without an atmosphere, there is no gradual brightening of the sky, no pastel colors heralding the sun's arrival. The sky remains pitch black, studded with unwavering stars. Then, on the eastern horizon, a dazzling, brilliant point of light appears, the very tip of the solar disk. It is instant day. There is no twilight. The landscape, which moments before was in the deep, absolute cold of night, is instantly flooded with a light so intense it has no parallel on Earth, for there is no air to soften it. Shadows are cast that are impossibly long and razor-sharp, stretching for miles across the plains, shrinking with visible speed as the sun climbs. This transition is stark, but it is also clean, decisive, and silent. It is a universe of pure geometry awakening. For the 2-week day that follows, the sun will crawl across the black sky with a slow, majestic pace, never varying its speed, never obscured by a cloud. Its path is perfectly predictable. There are no weather delays, no sudden storms. It is the ultimate in reliable illumination. This constancy is deeply calming. The sun is a faithful companion on the moon, its schedule unwavering for billions of years. In your own life, you can cultivate small lunar-like constants, the rhythm of your breath being one, the reliable comfort of your bed being another. These are your personal, unwavering suns, providing a predictable light in the black sky of uncertainty. They are simple, silent, and utterly dependable. Conversely, when the sun sets 2 weeks later, the reverse happens. The brilliant disk touches the western peaks and daylight vanishes in an instant. The landscape plunges into a darkness so complete it is a physical presence, a cold so deep it is almost a solid. But again, it is a clean, silent transition. There is no lingering glow, no protracted dusk. It is a definitive closing of the day's chapter. And then, for the next 2 weeks, the moon is illuminated only by the earth shine and the stark, motionless stars. This rhythm, 2 weeks of light, 2 weeks of dark, is a rhythm of profound balance. It is not the frantic daily oscillation we are used to. It is a slow, deep breath, a long, slow inhalation of light, and a long, slow exhalation into dark. It teaches patience on a scale we can barely conceive. It says that light and dark are not fleeting moments, but enduring states to be experienced, fully, each in their turn. As you rest in the dark of your room, you are in your own gentle lunar night. It is not a time for activity, for solar illumination. It is a time for coolness, for rest, for reflection of softer lights, the earthshine of memory, the starlight of dream. It is your rightful, peaceful phase of darkness. Embrace its duration. There is no need to rush toward the dawn. This long night is for restoration, and it unfolds at its own perfect, slow pace. The moon's stark light creates shadows of absolute clarity, and these shadows have been used for centuries in a gentle science, selenography, the study of the lunar surface. Before spacecraft, astronomers would patiently wait for the moment when sunlight struck the moon at a low angle, making mountains and crater rims cast long, defining shadows. By measuring the lengths of these shadows, they could calculate the heights of lunar features with remarkable accuracy. This was a science of patience and indirect light. It required waiting for the perfect geometric moment, then applying quiet mathematics. It was a dialogue with shadows, a way of learning about peaks and valleys by studying the shapes of the darkness they created. This is a beautifully metaphorical way to understand the world, not always by staring directly at the object in full light, but by observing the contours of its absence it creates. Sometimes we understand ourselves better, not in the full glare of self-analysis, but by gently observing the shapes of our quiet, our rest, our absences of striving, the spaces where we are not busy, the shadows we cast when the light of obligation hits us at an angle, reveal our true topography. Your rest tonight is one such long shadow. It is not an emptiness, but a defining shape. It reveals the contour of your need for peace, the height of your capacity for stillness. Observe it not with judgment, but with the soft, measuring eye of a selenographer, appreciating its quiet geometry. This airless world also gives us the purest example of a sunset or sunrise without a sky. If you were in a spaceship orbiting the moon, watching the Terminator, the line between day and night, sweep across the surface, you would witness a silent, slow-motion wave of illumination. Craters would emerge from shadow like islands rising from a dark sea, their rims catching the first light while their floors remained pools of ink. It would be a silent, relentless, and utterly peaceful progression. There is no fiery glory in the sky, only the slow reveal of a landscape. It is a revelation of form, not color, a study in grayscale awakening. This pure geometric dawn is happening somewhere on the moon right now, as it has for billions of years. A crater rim is tasting sunlight for the first time in 2 weeks. The temperature on a single dust grain is leaping from hundreds of degrees below zero to hundreds above, not with a roar, but in perfect silence. This is change at its most fundamental and serene. It is a reminder that the most dramatic transformations, from dark to light, from cold to hot, can occur in absolute stillness. Your own transition from wakefulness to sleep is such a silent dawn in reverse. You are not crossing into nothingness, but into a different kind of landscape, one defined by the soft, internal light of dreams. The Terminator of consciousness is slowly sweeping across the plains of your mind, leaving some thoughts in bright, waking light, and others in the soft, restful shadow of the subconscious. It is a natural, gentle, and inevitable process. You do not need to force it. Simply allow the silent orbital mechanics of your body to carry you across that line at its perfect, patient speed.
As the Terminator of consciousness continues its gentle, silent sweep across your mind, let us explore further the moon's quiet partnerships, its hidden rhythms, and the way it cradles the concept of time in its dusty palms. The moon does not orbit Earth in perfect isolation. It is part of a delicate three-body dance with the sun. While Earth is the moon's primary partner, the sun's immense gravity also exerts a gentle, steadying pull. This complex interplay results in the moon's orbit slowly rotating or precessing over an 18.6-year cycle. This is not a wobble of the moon itself, but a slow, graceful revolution of its entire orbital path. Think of a hula hoop slowly twisting around a dancer's waist. This long cycle subtly influences the angle of the moon's path across our sky and the severity of its eclipses. But this 18.6-year rhythm is so slow, so vast in its timescale, that it is felt only in the patient records of astronomers. It is a heartbeat of the solar system, a deep bass note thrumming once every 2 decades. For most of human history, this cycle went entirely unnoticed. It is a hidden rhythm, a secret harmony between the moon and the sun,
conducted over the head of the Earth. There is something deeply peaceful about these undiscovered yet perfect rhythms. They tell us that order exists on scales we cannot immediately perceive, that the universe is threaded with patterns of time that are longer than our lifespans, patterns that unfold with or without our observation. Your own life has such hidden rhythms, cycles of energy, creativity, and rest that may span years, patterns you only recognize in hindsight. Knowing they exist can be a comfort. You are not adrift in chaos. You are part of a slow, beautiful orbital pattern you may not fully see, guided by gentle forces you may not name, moving to a rhythm that is longer and more patient than the daily beat. Within the moon's own soil, there is another kind of quiet record, the capture of the solar wind. As mentioned, without a magnetic field, the charged particles from the sun, mostly hydrogen and helium nuclei, embed themselves directly into the surfaces of dust grains. Over billions of years, the lunar regolith has become a passive collector of this stellar exhalation. It is a silent, continuous recording. If you could take a single grain of lunar dust and read its surface atoms, you would find a history of the sun's activity, a fossilized solar breeze. This is not an active process. The moon does not reach out and grab these particles. It simply sits in the stream, and the stream leaves its trace. It is the ultimate in passive data collection. It reminds us that simply being present, consistently and openly, can make us a recorder of beautiful, invisible forces. Your own quiet presence here, listening, is a form of this. You are not actively striving. You are open, receptive, allowing the gentle stream of words to embed themselves in your awareness, creating a layer of calm that will remain long after you have drifted to sleep. You are collecting peace as the moon collects solar wind, one silent particle at a time. The moon's gravitational influence creates a gentle bulge in Earth's solid crust, just as it does in the oceans. This Earth tide is tiny, lifting the ground we stand on by perhaps a foot, spread over thousands of miles. We cannot feel it. It is a flexing of the planet itself, a slow, rhythmic breathing of the rock. This is a humbling thought. The entire massive globe upon which we live is subtly elastic. It responds to the moon's pull, bending ever so slightly, like a giant slow-motion trampoline. This deformation is not a crack or a rupture. It is a fluid, elastic response, a testament to the fact that even solid rock is not absolutely rigid on planetary scales. It has a gentle give. It accommodates the external force with a silent, continent-wide sigh. This can be a metaphor for resilience. True strength is not absolute rigidity, but a capacity for gentle, elastic response, the ability to bend ever so slightly under pressure, and then to return to form without breaking. Your mind and spirit have this same capacity. The pressures of the day create tiny tides within you, and now, in rest, you return to your natural shape, your equilibrium restored by the gentle, releasing pull of stillness. Feel that now, the release of the internal tide, the solid ground of your being settling back into its most peaceful, natural state, having flexed with the day's demands, and now, in the lunar quiet of night, returning to its calm, unstrained self. Finally, let us consider the moon's role as a time capsule for early Earth. Because the moon formed from material ejected during the giant impact, some of that material came from the proto-Earth's mantle. Lunar rocks, therefore, can give us clues about the composition of our own world over 4 billion years ago, a record completely erased here by geological activity. In a very real sense, the moon holds samples of the infant Earth, frozen in time. It is a museum of our own planet's childhood. When scientists study certain lunar minerals, they are indirectly studying the building blocks of our own world in a state of preservation that Earth itself cannot offer. This casts the moon in a new reflective light. It is not just a companion, it is a mirror into our deep past, a keeper of our origins. It allows us to understand where we came from by looking outward. There is a beautiful circularity to this. We look to the moon to learn about ourselves, and in learning about its serene, simplified history, we learn about the chaotic, vibrant beginnings of our own dynamic world. The moon holds the memory of Earth's fiery infancy, allowing Earth to forget, to move on, to evolve into the complex biosphere it is today. The moon remembers so that Earth can grow. In your own life, you have aspects of yourself that are like the moon, quiet, observant, preservative. They hold memories and truths that the active, changing Earth of your daily personality does not need to carry in the forefront. These lunar parts of you are not burdens, they are archives. They keep the core material of who you are safe in a cool, quiet place, so that the active you can evolve, change, and engage with the world. As you sleep, these archives are maintained. The essential, ancient core of you is tended to, remembered, and honored in the deep, silent night. You can trust that this is happening, naturally and inevitably, as the moon preserves the story of Earth's first rocks. So let go of the need to remember, to archive, to hold on. Your inner moon is doing that work perfectly and silently, leaving you free to simply drift and rest and be.
As we continue our gentle descent into lunar serenity, let the idea of your own inner moon, that quiet archivist of your essential self, hold you in a sense of safe preservation. There is nothing you need to guard or remember now. All is kept in perfect, silent trust. Let us now wander through concepts of the moon's light as a painter, its surface as a canvas of patience, and its very existence as a lesson in gentle inevitability. The light of the moon is not merely white. Through careful observation, or in photographs with long exposures, subtle colors reveal themselves on the lunar surface, soft blues in the Maria, faint ochres and tans around certain craters, dark rusty browns. These are not the vibrant greens and blues of Earth, but muted, mineralogical hues, the faint stains of different iron and titanium oxides in the basaltic rock. They are colors seen in a whisper. They require a patient eye to discern, a willingness to look beyond the monochrome first impression. This subtle coloration speaks of a world with a quiet complexity. It is not a garish world. Its palette is restrained, sophisticated, born of chemistry rather than life. To imagine walking across a plane that appears gray from orbit, but up close reveals these soft, dusty blues and gentle tans, is to imagine a landscape of exquisite subtlety, a world that does not shout its variety, but whispers it to those who come close enough and look slowly enough. In your own state of rest, you can access this subtle palette. The bright, demanding colors of the day, the red of urgency, the yellow of anxiety, the green of envy, all fade into the background. What remains are the soft lunar hues, the deep blue of tranquility, the gentle gray of neutrality,
the soft tan of warmth and comfort. Let your mind's eye paint with these colors now. Picture a landscape of serene, dusty blues and quiet, shadowed grays. A peaceful, muted world where nothing is jarring and everything exists in a state of soft, harmonic rest. The moon's surface is also a record of incredible patience in the form of space weathering. This is the slow, cumulative effect of the micrometeorite bombardment, the solar wind implantation, and the extreme temperature cycles. Over millions of years, these gentle, unceasing forces darken and redden the surface materials. A fresh crater with bright, newly exposed rock will gradually dull in color, its ejector rays fading as it is weathered by the passive, relentless environment of space. But this weathering is not like the violent weathering of Earth by storms and acid rain. It is a slow, gentle sandblasting by cosmic dust, a faint infusion of solar particles, a constant gentle massage by temperature shifts. It is change enacted with the lightest possible touch, repeated quintillions of times. The moon's face ages, but it ages gracefully, uniformly, with a patina of profound time. This is the opposite of decay. It is a maturation into a state of deeper, more unified quiet. Your own experiences are space-weathered by time. The sharp, bright edges of recent joys or upsets are gradually softened. Their vivid colors mute. They become integrated into the broader landscape of your being, part of the patina of your character, less as isolated events and more as part of the gentle, overall tone of who you are. This weathering is not a loss, but a smoothing, a blending, a journey toward a more peaceful, integrated whole. As you rest, you can feel this gentle process at work on the thoughts of the day. Their sharp edges are being softened by the quiet. Their bright, alarming colors are being muted by the steady, dark passage of time toward sleep. Allow them to weather. Allow them to become just part of the serene, softly colored landscape of your mind. The moon's orbit is not only an ellipse, it is an ellipse that itself rotates slowly. This is part of that grand 18.6-year cycle. But this means that the points of closest approach, perigee, and farthest retreat, apogee, themselves shift around the orbit over time. It is a complex, layered motion, a monthly ellipse within a yearly precession within an 18.6-year cycle. Yet for all this complexity, the result is a predictability so perfect we can pinpoint the moon's location to the centimeter centuries in advance. This is a profound kind of order, not a simple circular order, but a rich, multi-layered formonic order. It is a celestial demonstration that complexity and perfect predictability can coexist. The moon's motion is a symphony with multiple movements, each with its own tempo, all blending into a single, flawless trajectory. This can be a calming thought for a mind that fears complexity. You do not need to simplify the world into a single, easy circle to find peace. Peace can exist within the layered, interwoven cycles of life. The daily rhythms, the weekly patterns, the annual seasons, the multi-year projects and personal growth cycles. They can all interact in ways that feel complex, but beneath it all there is a pattern, a harmony. You are moving on your own multi-layered orbit, influenced by many gravitational pulls, work, family, health, passion. It may feel intricate, but it is not chaotic. There is a path, and you are on it, moving with a predictability that, if you could step back far enough in time, would look as serene and inevitable as the moon's slow dance. For now, you don't need to see the whole pattern. You only need to trust that it exists, And in this moment, your place in that pattern is here, resting in the quiet part of the cycle. And finally, consider the moon's sheer inevitability. It will rise tonight. It will rise tomorrow night. It has done so for billions of years. Its performance requires no audience. It is not contingent on human affairs. Wars begin and end, civilizations rise and fall, personal fortunes shift, and the moon continues its silent traverse. This can seem cold, but in a softer light it is the ultimate consolation. The moon is a promise that the world is larger than your worries, that the universe operates on a scale and a timeline that renders your acute anxieties into gentle passing shadows on a timeless landscape. The moon's indifference is not cruel, it is spacious. It creates room for you to have your human experience without the added burden of thinking the cosmos is participating in your drama. It allows you to lay down that burden. The moon does not care about your mistake at work, or your social worry, or your future plan, and that is its great gift. It offers a perspective where those things are not central. They are part of your orbit, yes, but they are not the axis around which the heavens spin. This realization is not diminishing, it is liberating. It allows you to place your concerns back into their proper, smaller scale, and to look up into the vast, quiet sky and breathe. The moon's silent, inevitable journey is a model for a kind of detached engagement. You can be fully engaged in your life while also knowing that you, like the moon, are part of a system so vast and beautiful that any single moment's light or shadow is just that, a moment in a cycle that has been and will be for a very, very long time. So tonight, let the moon's indifference be a blanket of peace. Let its unwavering routine assure you that some things are steadfast, and in that steadfastness you can find permission to release your grip, to soften your hold, and to simply be carried, as the moon is carried by forces of gentle, predictable grace into the welcoming dark.
Let the feeling of being carried by gentle, predictable forces deepen your relaxation. The moon's steadfast journey is a current in the cosmos, and you are gently drifting within its peaceful influence. As we move forward, let us contemplate the moon's relationship with shadow, its role in dream logic, and the serene finality of its geological story. Within every crater, on every boulder, there exists a shadow that never moves. On the moon, the sun's position changes so slowly that shadows are virtually stationary for hours. A rock casts a shadow at a certain angle, and that shadow will lie stark and black in perfect stillness for an entire Earth afternoon's length of time. There is no breeze to make dancing leaf shadows, no passing clouds to modulate the light. The shadows are fixed. They are part of the landscape as much as the features that cast them. This creates a world of incredible stillness. A photograph taken at lunar noon would show almost no shadows, just flat, bright terrain. But in the long morning or evening, the landscape becomes a study in sculptural relief, defined by these motionless pools of darkness. These shadows are not threatening, they are simply there, definitive. They are the negative space that gives the positive space its form. In your own mind, you can cultivate such still shadows, not the leaping, fearful shadows of uncertainty, but quiet, defined areas of rest, of non-action, of acceptance. Places where you simply allow an absence of light, an absence of effort. These still shadows give shape to the illuminated parts of your life. They provide contrast, depth, and rest. As you lie here, feel the still shadows within you.
the quiet acceptance of not knowing all the answers, the peaceful surrender of today's tasks, the soft dark of closed eyes. They are not voids, but spaces of deep restorative quiet. The moon is also the sovereign of dream logic. In dreams, the moon often appears oversized, close, dripping with symbolic meaning. It can be a source of mysterious light, a destination, a watching eye. This is because the moon lives in the realm of the night, which is also the realm of sleep and the unconscious. Its light is the light we see with our eyes closed, a soft internal luminescence that makes the landscapes of our dreams visible. The moon in mythology is frequently tied to intuition, to the cyclical nature of life and death, to the hidden reflective parts of the self. It does not represent the sharp analytical clarity of the sun, but the soft associative understanding of the heart. By focusing on the moon as we drift to sleep, we are aligning ourselves with this dream logic. We are signaling to our subconscious that it is time to shift from linear, daytime thinking to the more fluid, symbolic, and peaceful processing of the night. You don't need to interpret dreams or summon symbols. Simply knowing that the moon is the guardian of this transition is enough. It is a gentle usher, leading you from the porch of wakefulness into the interior halls of sleep. Picture it now, a large, friendly, familiar moon hanging at the entrance to your dreams. It is not strange or alarming. It is a welcoming presence. Its light a guide that illuminates just enough to see the path, but not so much as to reveal hard, waking edges. It lights the way to rest. Geologically, the moon is a world that has essentially reached its conclusion. Its major internal geological activity ended about 1 billion years ago. The great lava floods solidified. The last significant volcanic eruptions quieted. The core, if it ever was fully molten, has mostly cooled and solidified. The moon is now, in the grand thermal sense, at rest. It is a world that has completed its active phase and is now in a state of long, quiet senescence. It still changes, but with the slowest of processes, the creep of the crust as it cools and contracts, causing mild moonquakes, the constant gentle sandblasting of micrometeorites. It is not dead, it is retired. It has done its work of forming, of shaping itself, and now it exists in a state of profound, earned peace. This is a deeply comforting metaphor for the end of a busy day or a busy phase of life. The active internal fires bank, the dramatic outpourings cease. What remains is a calm, solid structure, quietly settling, experiencing only the faintest of tremors as it adjusts to its cooling. You can feel this in your own body after a long day. The mental eruptions have ceased. The emotional lava flows have stilled. You are in your cooling, settling phase. The faint moonquakes are the last sighs of the day, the final adjustments of muscle and mind as they release into absolute stillness. This is not an emptiness, it is a rich, solid peace. The peace of work completed, of energy spent, of a system moving into its natural, quiet state of equilibrium. You have earned this lunar stillness. And because the moon has no atmosphere, it has no weather to erase impressions. This gives its history a quality of simultaneous layering and exposure. A crater from 4 billion years ago sits right next to one from 100 million years ago. There is no soil formation, no erosion to bury the old and expose the new in sequence. All times are present on the surface. It is a palimpsest written in circles, where the newest writing does not erase the old, but simply overlays it. The history is not buried, it is all visible if you know how to read the overlapping patterns. Your own mind, in the state between wakefulness and sleep, becomes a little like this.
Memories from different times may surface without sequence, a childhood moment, something from last week, a plan for tomorrow. They do not come in an orderly line. They simply appear, like craters on a plain, each from its own era, existing simultaneously in the present landscape of your drowsy awareness. There is no need to organize them, to put them in chronological order or derive meaning. Simply allow them to be present, like features on the moon. Observe them with soft focus, acknowledge their existence, and let them rest where they are, part of the timeless terrain of your consciousness. They are not demands, they are just part of the scenery of you, illuminated by the soft, sidewise light of near sleep. They can coexist peacefully, without conflict, because in this state you are not being asked to act on them, only to witness them as artifacts of your own rich history, lying together in the quiet dust.
As we allow memories and thoughts to rest like silent craters on the plane of the mind, undisturbed and at peace, let us journey further into the moon's gentle embrace. We will consider its light as a unifier across species, its silence as a medium for thought, and its very barrenness as a canvas for the most peaceful of human aspirations. The moon's light is a great democratizer in the natural world. It falls equally on predator and prey. It illuminates the path for the nocturnal hunter and also reveals the hunter to the hunted. In its soft glow, the sharp dichotomies of day soften into a world of grayscale and moving shadow, where survival is a quieter, more subtle game. For many creatures, activity under the moon is less about the vibrant chase and more about patience, stealth, and heightened senses other than sight. The fox listens more intently. The mouse freezes, becoming part of the landscape. The owl's flight is soundless. Moonlit life operates on a different frequency, lower, slower, more deliberate. This lunar ecology is a lesson in moderated existence. It is not the time for explosive growth or frantic consumption, but for maintenance, for careful movement, for restful alertness. Your own body and mind are entering this lunar ecology now. The frantic metabolism of the day slows. The chase for productivity ceases. Your senses turn inward. You become like the creature in the moonlight, still, listening to the inner rhythms, moving with quiet deliberation toward the nest of sleep. There is no competition here, no race, only the slow, patient process of restoration under the same cool light that guides the fox and the owl. The profound silence of the moon, we have said, is absolute, but in that silence there is a kind of auditory clarity for internal sounds. An astronaut on the moon, with the radio off, would hear the workings of their own body with startling intimacy, the rush of blood in their ears, the steady rhythm of their heart, the sigh of their own breath within the helmet. In the absence of all external noise, the internal symphony becomes the only music. This is what we approach in deep relaxation and sleep. As the noise of the world, the traffic, the voices, the electronic hum fades into the background, you begin to hear your internal symphony more clearly, the rhythm of your heart, the soft passage of air in and out of your lungs, the faint hum of your own living system. These are not distractions, they are lullabies. They are the proof of your existence, steady and sure. The moon's environment teaches us that silence is not an absence, but a space for attending to the essential internal rhythms. So now, in the quiet of your room, turn your attention inward. Listen not for a problem, but for the symphony, the heart's steady drum, the breath's gentle breeze. This is your personal biological music, as regular and reliable as the moon's orbit. Let it be the only sound in your universe, a soothing, repetitive composition that leads you deeper into rest. The moon's barrenness, its lack of life, is not a tragedy, it is a blankness, and a blank canvas holds infinite potential. For centuries, the moon was a blank canvas for human mythology. Now it is a blank canvas for peaceful scientific inquiry. The very fact that it is not cluttered with an existing biosphere means that experiments there can be clean, clear, and fundamental. It is a laboratory of basics, gravity, radiation, geology, simplicity. This blankness is also what makes it a perfect symbol for mental clarity. A cluttered mind is like a landscape overgrown with the vibrant, choking complexity of life. A clear mind is like the lunar surface, open, spacious, defined by a few clear features with vast stretches of empty, peaceful space between them. Meditation often seeks to achieve this lunar clarity, to sweep away the undergrowth of thought and leave a serene, empty plain under a black sky. You do not need to meditate formally to touch this. Simply by lying here and allowing the words to wash over you, you are gently smoothing the regolith of your mind. The tangled weeds of worry are being flattened, not by force, but by the gentle, persistent weight of calm attention. What remains is space, beautiful, empty, silent space, room to breathe, room to just be. Appreciate the blankness you are cultivating. It is not a lack, it is a luxury, a lunar plane of the mind, ready to reflect the gentle light of whatever peaceful thought passes by. Finally, the moon represents a journey that is always circular, always returning. It orbits Earth. Earth orbits the sun. These are not linear paths to a destination, they are loops, cycles. The moon teaches us that progress is not always a straight line forward. Often it is a return to the starting point with a new perspective. It is a spiral, not a line. Each month the moon returns to the same phase, but it is not the same moon. It is a moon that has completed another loop around the Earth, that has been bathed in another month of solar wind, that has witnessed another cycle of Earth's turning. It is familiar, yet changed. Your sleep is such a return. Each night you return to a similar state of unconsciousness, but you are not the same person who awoke yesterday morning. You have completed another loop around the sun of your experiences. You have gathered new data, felt new feelings, and now you return to the starting point of rest, but from a slightly different angle, with a new layer of cosmic weathering upon you. This is the purpose of the circle. Not to go nowhere, but to integrate the journey. The moon's orbit integrates the gravitational influences of Earth and Sun. Your sleep integrates the experiences of your day. You do not need to process it all consciously. The act of returning to this quiet starting point, of closing the circle of the day, is the integration. Trust the orbit. Trust the return. You are right now completing the arc of your day, swinging back toward the point of origin, rest, and as you do, everything you carried is being gently settled into place by the centrifugal force of letting go. So feel the arc, feel the gentle curve of your wakefulness bending back toward sleep. You are not falling into nothingness, you are completing a beautiful, necessary, and peaceful circle. And with each slow, graceful revolution, you find a deeper, more settled peace.
As you complete the gentle arc of this day, returning to the point of rest, let the feeling of circular, integrated peace hold you. The orbit is closing, and all is settling into its rightful place. Now, let us turn our focus to the moon's relationship with water, its role in stabilizing not just our spin, but our very imagination, and the quiet promise it holds in its eternal dark cold. While the moon itself is achingly dry, its influence is fundamentally tied to water on Earth. We've spoken of the tides, that slow, grand breathing of the oceans. But this gravitational massage does more than just move water. It stirs it. It prevents the oceanic depths from becoming completely stagnant. The gentle, persistent tug helps drive the great global conveyor belt of currents, which distributes heat and nutrients around the planet. In a very real sense, the moon helps mix the soup of life. It is a quiet chef, slowly stirring the pot over an eternal flame, ensuring everything is blended, nothing settles into inertness for too long. This is a gentle, nurturing role. It is not a violent stirring, but a constant, rhythmic one, like the slow folding of a batter. Your own circulatory system is stirred by the gentle chef of your heartbeat. Your lymph, your cerebrospinal fluid, all are kept in gentle motion by internal rhythmic pulses. As you rest, these internal tides continue their work, distributing resources, carrying away waste, maintaining the inner ocean of your body in a state of healthy, quiet flow. The moon's work on our oceans is a macrocosm of this inner process. Feel that internal flow now, synchronized not to the anxious pulses of thought, but to the slow lunar rhythm of deep rest. Your body knows how to be stirred to life, and it also knows how to settle into a slower maintenance current, all guided by rhythms as ancient and reliable as the moon's pull. The moon also stabilizes something less tangible than our climate, our imagination. Before the age of electric light, the moon was the only source of illumination for half of every day. It pushed back the absolute dominion of darkness. It made the night navigable, knowable. It allowed for travel, for socialization, for contemplation under the stars. It defined the realm of the night as not merely a time of fear and hiding, but as a time of different activities, of mystery that was lit, not absolute. It created the concept of moonlight as a thing, a quality of light that was soft, romantic, and transformative. By giving us light in the darkness, the moon gave us a psychological stability. It told our ancestors that the universe was not entirely hostile, that even in the dark there was a friendly light, a guide. It made the cosmos feel less indifferent. This psychological stability echoes in us still. Even with our electric lights, a moonlit night feels safer, more poetic, more open to wonder than a moonless one. The moon is a nightlight for the entire planet. And as you prepare for sleep, you can call upon that same stabilizing presence. In the dark of your room, imagine that soft silver light pervading the space, not to illuminate details, but to erase fear, to define the shapes of your furniture into friendly forms, to create a space that is dark but not black, restful but not ominous. It is the original comfort light. Let it comfort you now, as it has comforted countless generations before you. Within the permanently shadowed craters at the poles, as we've noted, may lie water ice, but consider the quality of that cold. It is not merely the absence of heat, it is a positive, profound stillness. Temperatures there can hover around -400 degrees Fahrenheit, only a few tens of degrees above absolute zero, the temperature at which all molecular motion theoretically stops. This is cold as a near absolute.
It is the cold of the void itself, preserved in a topographic trap. In that cold, chemical reactions are immeasurably slow. Preservation is perfect. A molecule of water frozen there 1 billion years ago is essentially unchanged. That cold is a kind of time machine, a state of suspended animation. While we cannot truly imagine such cold, we can imagine the profound peace of absolute stasis, of being so still that time loses its meaning, of being preserved not in a struggle, but in a perfect crystalline pause. Your sleep is not this extreme, but it is a movement in that direction. Your body temperature drops slightly, your metabolism slows, your brain waves change from the rapid-fire exchanges of the day to the slow, rolling waves of deep sleep, and finally to the near-perfect stillness of the dreamless phases. You are entering your own version of a permanently shadowed crater, where processes slow to a maintenance level, where you are preserved and restored in a cool, quiet state. Welcome this coolness, this slowing. It is not a descent into oblivion, but into a state of perfect restorative pause. And finally, the moon presents us with a lesson in gentle endings. The moon, as a geological entity, is in its late stage. Its major stories are written. Its dramatic events are in the distant past. What remains is the long, quiet afternoon of its existence, a senescence that will last for billions more years before the sun's expansion eventually engulfs it. There is a beauty in this late stage. The drama is over. The struggle is concluded. What remains is acceptance, stillness, and a slow, graceful continuation of minor processes. There is no fight left in it, and because of that, it is completely at peace. It has become what it is, fully and without apology. You can sense this in the way we view the moon. We do not look at it and see potential for dramatic change. We see a finished work, a completed sculpture. This is deeply soothing to a mind that is constantly bombarded with potential, with unfinished tasks, with the pressure of becoming. The moon simply is. It has reached its state of being, and that state is serene. As you approach sleep, you can allow yourself a similar feeling. You do not need to be in a state of becoming right now. You can simply be. A finished work for the day. The tasks are done, or they are not, but the active phase is concluded. The drama of the day has concluded. Now you enter your own quiet, late stage, the long, peaceful afternoon of the night, where you are not becoming anything other than more rested, more peaceful, more yourself. There is no struggle required. Like the moon, you have traveled your orbit for today, and now you are in the quiet part of the cycle, where existence is enough, where stillness is the purpose, and the gentle, slow processes of restoration can work their quiet magic on the finished, beautiful work that you are in this moment, completely at rest.
As you rest in the gentle completion of your day's orbit, a finished work in the quiet gallery of the night, let us deepen our contemplation. Let us consider the moon as a teacher of parallax, a mirror for our planet's beauty, and a silent partner in the cosmic dance of dust and light. From our moving platform of Earth, we see the moon from a shifting perspective. This slight shift, called parallax, allows us to see it against a different background of stars from one hour to the next, or from one location on Earth to another. The moon seems to move through the constellations, not just because of its own orbit, but because we are also moving. This is a gentle reminder that our viewpoint is never entirely fixed or absolute. What we see is always a combination of our own motion and the motion of the object we observe.
The moon teaches us this fundamental principle of perspective with quiet grace. It does not accuse us of being wrong, it simply shows us how perception works. In your own life, your feelings and thoughts are subject to a kind of emotional parallax. How you view a situation at noon from the busy vantage point of your day is different from how you view it at midnight from the still point of your rest. Neither perspective is the true one. They are both true from their own moving platform. The moon encourages a gentle relativism. It says, your view is valid, but know that it is a view from a specific place and time. This can dissolve rigidity. It can soften judgment, both of yourself and of others. As you rest, you can appreciate the parallax of the day now ending. See its events from this new, still, nighttime perspective. They may look smaller, dimmer, less urgent against the vast backdrop of stars that is your larger life. This is not dismissing them. It is simply seeing them from a different and deeply peaceful point in your orbit. When the moon is a thin crescent, you can sometimes see not just the Earth shine on its dark side, but the entire circle of our planet's shadow falling across space. You are seeing the invisible made faintly visible. Our planet casts a long, tapering cone of darkness into space opposite the sun. Most of the time, this shadow cone is empty, a mere geometric possibility. But when the moon passes through it, we have a lunar eclipse. However, even outside of an eclipse, a sensitive eye can sometimes perceive that the moon is moving toward or away from this cone of shadow. It lends a subtle depth to the sky, a feeling that space is not a flat backdrop, but a volume filled with relationships and invisible structures. The moon reveals the architecture of light and shadow that is always there, but which we normally cannot see. Your mind, in a state of quiet, can perceive similar invisible structures, the underlying patterns of your life, the shadow cones of past events, the future paths of possibility. Normally, these are hidden by the glare of immediate concerns, but in the soft earthshine of relaxation, they can become faintly apparent, not as worries, but as interesting, peaceful geometries, the quiet architecture of your being. There is no need to analyze it. Simply know that it is there, a complex and beautiful structure of relationships and potentials revealed only in the gentlest, most indirect light. The moon is also a collector of cosmic dust. As it travels around Earth, and as the Earth-Moon system travels around the galaxy, it sweeps up an infinitesimal rain of interplanetary and interstellar dust particles. These tiny grains, some no larger than a molecule, settle onto the lunar surface, adding to the regolith at an almost imperceptible rate. This is the slowest of snowfalls, a gentle, eternal sedimentation from the galaxy at large. The moon is dusted with the stuff of distant stars and the debris of comet tails. It is a cosmic catcher's mitt. This process is so slow, so patient, that it is the definition of gradual accumulation. Each millennium adds a layer thinner than a sheet of paper, yet over billions of years it contributes to the soil. This is how the universe builds in peace, one microscopic grain at a time, with infinite patience. Your own growth, your accumulation of wisdom and peace often happens in the same way, not through dramatic epiphanies, but through the gentle daily accumulation of tiny insights, moments of calm, particles of perspective that settle onto the surface of your being. You rarely feel them land, but over time they create a layer. They become part of your substance. Tonight's rest, this gentle listening, is one such particle, a tiny, almost weightless flake of cosmic dust settling onto the regolith of yourself, contributing in its minute way to the peaceful landscape you are becoming. There is no effort in receiving it. It is simply a gift of the quiet passage through the galaxy. And in its silent journey, the moon is a perfect mirror for Earth's beauty. We have spoken of Earth's shine, but think of what that means. The moon, in its dark phase, becomes a dim gray mirror reflecting the brilliant blue-white light of our planet. Astronauts on the moon saw a glorious, luminous Earth, 4 times wider than our moon, swirling with clouds and oceans. But from here, we see our own planet's light reflected back to us from that gray canvas. It is a closed loop of reflection. We see ourselves in a softened, second-hand form in the face of our companion. This is a beautiful symbol of relationship. In our closest companions, we often see a reflection of ourselves, not a perfect mirror, but a softened, interpreted version. The moon reflects not our details, but our essence as a bright, living world. It says to us, "You are a light in the darkness." It affirms our planet's beauty by choosing to show it, even if faintly. As you close your eyes, you can engage in a similar gentle reflection. What is the essence of you in this quiet moment? Not the details of your roles or tasks, but the soft light of your being. Perhaps it is simply your capacity for peace, your ability to listen, your presence. See that gentle light reflected back to you in the dark mirror of the night. The moon holds that reflection for you, a silent affirmation that you too are a source of soft light in the vastness, and that your light is seen, is appreciated, is reflected back by the quiet universe in the form of this deep, nourishing stillness. So receive that reflection now. Feel seen, not for what you do, but for the peaceful light of your existence, and let that feeling be the final gentle weight that carries you across the threshold into sleep.
As you feel the gentle weight of that peaceful reflection, let it be an anchor holding you softly in the present moment of rest. Our journey through lunar serenity is nearing its completion, but like the moon's own cycle, it is a return to a beginning, a closing of a circle. Let us spend these final moments considering the moon's role as a keeper of slow time, a symbol of gentle paradox, and finally as a direct gateway to sleep itself. The moon is a clock, but its hands move with a majestic, ponderous slowness. The hour hand of this clock is the phase cycle, taking a month to complete a full circle. The minute hand is its daily rise and set, shifting about 50 minutes later each day. There is no second hand, there is no ticking. Time on a lunar scale is measured in the creeping advance of sunlight across a crater floor, or the slow retreat of shadow from a mountain range. It is time felt as geometry, not as sound. To synchronize oneself with lunar time is to release the tyranny of the second, the minute, even the hour. It is to adopt a longer, more breathing rhythm. In your state of deep relaxation, you are slipping out of human clock time and into a kind of biological lunar time. Your heart rate slows, your breath deepens and spaces out. Your thoughts cease their frantic ticking and become slow, drifting shapes. You are aligning with an older, more patient rhythm. Let go of the need to measure the passage of these moments. There is no schedule here, only the slow, inevitable, and beautiful progression toward deeper rest, as steady and silent as the moon's waning from full to new. The moon is a world of beautiful paradox. It is both familiar and alien. It is our constant companion, yet its environment is utterly hostile to us. It is brilliantly bright, yet its shadows are abysmally dark. It is a symbol of change through its phases, yet it is the very picture of geological permanence.
It feels close, yet it is far. These paradoxes do not create tension, they create a kind of peaceful mystery. The moon holds opposites in a serene balance. It teaches that two seemingly contradictory truths can coexist without conflict. In your own being, you hold paradoxes. You can be both strong and gentle, both busy and restful, both social and solitary. The moon models that these are not problems to be solved, but facets to be accepted. They can orbit each other in peace, creating the complex, beautiful whole that is you. As you rest, feel the paradox of your own state. You are deeply conscious, yet drifting toward unconsciousness. You are here, listening, yet you are also somewhere else, in the landscape of pre-sleep. This is not confusion, it is a peaceful, expanded state. Allow the opposites to be. You do not need to choose. Like the moon, you can be both things at once, held in the graceful balance of this very moment. Scientifically, the moon is moving toward a state of what is called synchronous rotation, but it has already achieved it. We only ever see one face. This is a state of perfect tidal equilibrium. The gravitational bulges are aligned. There is no more rotational energy to be transferred. It is a finished conversation, a settled agreement. The moon has found its stable, peaceful orientation in relation to its partner. This is a metaphor for emotional and mental equilibrium. The state we seek in meditation, in rest, is a kind of synchronous rotation with our own core, where the noisy, spinning parts of our psyche settle into a stable, peaceful orientation toward the central gravity of our being. The frantic rotations of worry, planning, and rehearsing slowly subside, and we achieve a quiet, locked state, not inactive, but stable, oriented, at peace with the primary force in our lives, which, in this moment, is simply the need for restorative sleep.
Feel yourself achieving that gentle, synchronous rotation now. The mental spins are slowing, and locking into place. You are finding your stable face, your peaceful orientation toward the core of your rest. The conversation with the day's demands is over. A settled agreement has been reached. Now it is time for stillness. And now we use the moon itself as our final guide into sleep. Picture it in your mind, not in detail, but as a soft, luminous presence, a soft, silver coin in the dark velvet of your mind's sky. It is not glaring, it is gentle. And as you watch it, imagine it very slowly beginning to wane, not quickly, but with infinite slowness. The bright disk gently loses its edge, softening into a gibbous shape, and then a half moon, and then a crescent. The light is gently receding, not being stolen, but willingly relinquished, pulling back toward a point of quiet. The crescent becomes thinner and thinner until it is just a faint, smiling sliver of silver. And then that too softens, dissolves, until there is only the faintest ghost of a circle, a memory of light in the darkness. This is the new moon, the moon of rest. It is not gone, it is still there, entire and whole, but it is resting in shadow, reflecting no light, taking its quiet turn in the dark. It is gathering itself. It is in its phase of deep cosmic sleep, and so are you.
As the moon in your mind waned, your wakefulness has waned with it. The light of conscious thought has gently receded, softened, dissolved into a warm, friendly darkness. You are now at the new moon, the phase of perfect, restful dark. There is nothing you need to illuminate, nothing you need to see. There is only the whole, complete and resting self suspended in the peaceful void, gathering strength for the next cycle, whenever it may come. But for now, there is only this, deep, quiet, dark. A silence as complete as the lunar vacuum, a calm as profound as the dust in a shadowed crater, a peace as ancient and enduring as the moon itself. You have journeyed far on gentle thoughts to a place of profound rest. The moon, our constant, silent companion, has guided us. It has taught us about time, about patience, about stillness, about light that is gentle and borrowed, about shadows that are soft and defining. It has shown us that even in the vastness there is a steady rhythm, even in the silence there is a profound presence. Thank you for allowing Dreamstate Discoveries to be part of your journey to sleep. If you wish to visit other peaceful places, the depths of the ocean, the rings of Saturn, the heart of a forest, you are always welcome here. Consider subscribing to gently nurture this channel of calm. But for now, let all of the images soften completely. Let the words fade into echoes and the echoes into silence. You are resting in the gentle embrace of the night, under the watchful, quiet eye of the moon. There is nothing more to do, nothing to hold on to. Simply allow your breathing to deepen, to become slow and tidal. Feel the weight of your body completely supported. You are safe, you are still, you are at peace. Sleep well and good night.